is an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. It seems to be a sudden, general explosion of mass homicide. Consistent reports from witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of several of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered.
Incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria. First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent. Officials and newsmen first discounted their eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, reports persisted. Medical examinations of some of the victims bore out the fact that they had been partially devoured. I think we have some late word just arriving, and I'll interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact. When this emergency first began, radio and television was advising people to stay inside, behind locked doors for safety. Well, that situation has now changed. We're able to report a definite course of action. Civil defense machinery has been organized to provide rescue stations with food, shelter, medical treatment, and protection by armed National Guardsmen. Stay tuned to the broadcasting stations in your local area for this list of rescue stations. This list will be repeated throughout our news coverage. Look for the name of the rescue station nearest you and make your way to that location as soon as possible.
No longer seek occupancy in private residences, no matter how safe or well protected they may be.
They use everybody maybe 5% of the food available in the human body.
The kind of thing.
With that small amount, the body is usually intact enough to be mobile when it revives.
What are you saying? I mean, use science.
Dummies!
You're suggesting
dummies! Dummies!
Excuse me. Listen, quiet.
One wonders whether it's worth saving. Why don't we drop bombs in all the big cities? You're probably serious. I'm deadly serious. What are the choices? They won't run out of food, young lady. That's the problem, you see. And they won't run out of food while we're still alive.
We can lift you out to safety. Please answer my call if you can hear me.
We've got to remain logical. We've got to. There's no choice. It has to be. It's that or the end.
Hey, it's Greg Nicotero. You are, or if you're not, should be watching Alpha Romero on YouTube.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
And there's no more room in hell.
We are live. What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday night to you all. I am joined here tonight by a very special guest. He's the Major Domo, the head of Red Shirt Pictures.
Major Domo, I like that's a new one.
You can use that. You have my permission.
Yeah, I don't know that one would just. I think it sounds cool and pretentious at the same time. I once did an interview for one of the Friday the 13th Blu-rays, and the guys that were producing this, I didn't know them really well. and because they wanted a fan's thoughts or like a horror historian's thoughts on some of the later sequels. And while they got my name right on the credits, they credited me as Horror Guru.
I like that.
I don't. It sounds so fucking like, hello, I'm the Horror Guru.
Well,
I know all, see all, feel all.
Every release now has to have an essay or a commentary with a horror historian.
Yeah.
So
and
I think
there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that are great, but Horror Guru just sounds so fucking pretentious. I was really pissed. I was just like, really? That.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our own horror guru is here tonight, Mr. Michael Felsher.
Don't do that. don't do that.
Michael Felsher, for those of you that don't know, is a huge Romero fan, friend of George Romero's for many years, and has worked on numerous Romero releases over the years, dating all the way back to the Anchor Bay days. We're talking about Michael has worked. I got a list here. Michael has worked on, there's Night of the Living Dead, There's Always Vanilla, Season of the Witch, The Amusement Park, Martin, Dawn of the Dead, Night Riders, Creep Show, Day of the Dead, Monkey Shines, Two Evil Eyes, The Dark Half, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, and Survival of the Dead. So this begs the question, Michael, why do you hate the Crazies?
That's what you took from this?
It's the only Romero film that you've never.
That one. I don't know. I've missed because that one got some stuff done before I really got into this, and then there just wasn't much to do. And then there was going to be something I was going to do for that at one point, but then that kind of fell. That one got kind of covered. By the time that I've just missed. I can't do every one of them. I've been lucky enough to do as many as. Yeah, so I think is that the only one that I haven't really.
That's the only one of George's films that you've never done anything for on any of the releases.
Oh, okay.
I was doing my research and I was looking. I was like, really, the Crazies? Yeah, I guess he's never done anything for the Crazies.
Yeah, somehow I've danced around the Crazies. I don't know why that is. Certainly not deliberate. That's a terrific movie, but. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe now that you've put it out there, somehow I'll end up doing something for the Crazies at some point. But
well, we need a maybe not a full length documentary on the Crazies because there's really not that many people left, unfortunately.
No, sadly, that's the problem with doing a lot of these retrospectives at this point. For certainly a lot of these movies, it's just people are leaving us. And that's certainly the case with a lot of George's films. Sadly, seems like the last 10 years has been a rout of people, and it's just really it's depressing. It's and it makes the job harder for one thing, but the main thing is you just lose a lot of friends. You lose a lot of people that you really cared about and people you respected whose work you just loved, and it's just a wonderfully depressing note to start this chat off on. I'm sorry. It's just,
Well, I know you did you did interview Richard France for that Second Sight Dawn of the Dead release.
Yeah.
Did you ask him at all about the Crazies? Did you ever bring it up?
I'm sure it got covered. We only used that. That was an interview that was intended for something else that ended up getting loaned out. That was my fault actually for that release, but we did cover Crazies. That did get covered. So there actually is some, but that's going to be used on something else going forward. I can't really talk about right now.
Okay.
But and it's not that I'm holding back any great details right now. There are no details to share. It's just that there's something that's been kind of simmering in the background for a while. Although it's it should be interesting if and when it finally happens.
All right, very cool. We'll look forward to that. But I do know that you are famously known. Your big nickname is Two Scoops. So we're looking forward to.
No, it's not. No, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not my fucking Dead Pit. Those guys, I swear to God, they started that whole thing, and because I came on one night and they just said, "Oh, he's got 2 scoops for us." I'm like, "What the flying fuck are you talking about?" And I never promised them any scoops. And then everyone now, but Slippy, that nickname came from them too, which I'm fine with that. That was fine, but.
Where did that come from? I remember it said something to do with
Slipcase. It came from Slipcase, yeah, and then it just became Slippy, and nicknames have a tendency to de-evolve over the years.
Yeah, I've noticed it recently. Slippy has kind of turned into sloppy,
Slurpy,
slappy,
which I don't know.
Slurpy.
Yeah, and I don't. Those I'm not as fond of. That's.
Speak of the devil, Uncle Bill. What's going on, Uncle Bill? Please get him off here so he can finish that damn Fright Night 2 disc before I pass on. So there's.
Okay, now I'm banning you from getting one, Uncle Bill. I'm going to call the Synapse offices tomorrow and make sure that you're never. In fact, I may just ban the whole state of Kentucky just to be safe.
Well, it's a good thing I live in Indiana now. So
yeah, exactly. There you go.
I moved out, so
you just there you go, Uncle Bill. You just screwed it for everybody.
The whole state of Kentucky is now up in arms over this. Yeah, quite a few people in the chat already. We got Jeff's in the house. Down is up. What's going on, my man? We got Grande's Graveyards in the house. We got Matt Blasey. Everybody check out Matt Blasey. I did
of
great.
Course, Matt Blasey's here. Yes,
I've had a great conversation with Matt last week.
I was trying to think about when I first met Matt. It's been well over 20 years. I want to say it was at a Horrifying show or a Pittsburgh Comic-Con. All those shows blend together back then. But I think it was probably Pittsburgh Comic-Con or maybe Cinema Waste. It could have been any number of shows because he did a lot of Midwest stuff. But I've known him for well over 20 years at this point. And it was 2001 Pittsburgh Comic-Con. That's the one. That's what I thought it was.
There you go.
Yeah.
2001.
God, that's 25 fucking years
25 years ago, yeah.
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
insane. But yeah, everybody check out had a really fun conversation with Matt last week. Everybody go check that out. Let's see, who else do we have in here? Quite a few people saying hello. We got Bonnie Bailey in the house. What's up, Bonnie? Good to see you. Matt's in the house. What's going on, Matt? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, Steven. What's going on, my man? Howdy Camper, says Steven. Michelle's stopping by. What's up, Michelle?
Dead Pit gonna harass Michael Felsher no matter where he goes. That's the truth. They have agents out there who it's like they have their own little ICE group that just goes out and harasses me. Not to make light of ICE or anything, but still, it's funny. The show when I go to Living Dead Weekend, more people, I swear to God, recognize me from Dead Pit there than anywhere else. It's hilarious.
I'm sure, man. Like I can't do anything about it because I've told Uncle Bill this personally, and I've said it many times. Like I wouldn't be doing what I do now here on YouTube if I hadn't discovered Dead Pit, because I didn't discover Dead Pit until probably 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. And so they always have just free range to do whatever because they kind of paved the way for what I do here. Well, and you've kind of been with them from the beginning, like going back in the archives, like some of their earliest stuff. Were like the first people on there.
That's been going on for 20 years too, almost. I think.
I think 20 years this year was actually.
Yeah. So it's like that line from Alien 3 is like, you've been in my life so long, I can't remember anything else. That's kind of how it is with Dead Pit at this point. It's just like, I can't remember a time before you guys at this point. So,
Larry's in the house. What's going on, Larry? Larry beat me on the Dead Pit stream the other night for that film reels for the Night of Living Dead. What was that?
Which have been shipped out. I got waylaid this week with a bunch of crap. So all the people who want auctions on my stuff. All that stuff has finally been shipped out. So,
yeah, I'm telling you, some of the most fun times that I've had over the past 5-6 years, whatever it's been since I first discovered, were either participating in or just watching some of the like auctions that you've done in the past, like on your Facebook page. And
some of those went on way too long. I think one of them was like 3.5-4 hours long or something. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I don't think I'm going to be doing another one again. Well, first of all, I don't really have very much anything to auction off, but that Dead Pit one wore me out the other night. I was just like,
after a while, they were just like, all right, fuck it. Uncle Bill's just like,
well, the chat got a little out of hand. It was just like, okay, all right. But
that seems pretty core for the course.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. When is a Dead Pit chat never out of control,
But I mean, they do. I mean, it's a dedicated audience over there for that show. I mean,
that's one way to put it. Dedicated, yes. Yeah. Committed or should be committed. That's another one.
That's another way to put it. Scratch Burno 13. What's going on, man? It says, what up, the horror guru himself, Slippy. There you go.
Well, yes, I know you participated in every one. You won a lot of the stuff, Larry. Yeah. That's the thing. Don't get into a bidding war with Larry because he.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to want it to win against Larry, because he'll take it to the very end.
I've
which
lost
delights
so
me to
many
win
options.
because it's more money for me. So what do I care? But I don't have a dog in this hunt, really.
Just let it go.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in this hunt.
I've lost so many auctions to Larry at this point. It's just kind of it's a common thing. I'm used to
My
it.
favorite thing to do is to turn on the people as they bid. It's just like, Larry be the top bidder. All right, Larry steps in, and then Larry gets outbid. Larry, you pussy, you gonna take that shit?
That's what you got to do. That's how
you gotta. If I just want, I don't care if it's an angry bid. I just want to bid. At the end of the day, fuck you bids are just as good as anybody's. I'll take that.
That's right.
The best bids are the spite bids. Says, I'm buying this just because I don't want you to have it. It's like,
if Larry wants something, the only time I've ever seen Larry be outbid for something, I think it was you had some, I can't remember what they were, but it was something Creepshow 2. It was some really rare.
Oh, it was some photos and stuff. Yeah.
And it got up to, I think, did it get up to over $1,000 or something? I think at one point.
I can't remember. It was a lot. And
eventually Larry just had to say, okay, I gotta tap out. But I was like, oh my God, Larry is tapping out.
Larry's backing off. Larry's in retreat.
I've never seen that before.
Sight never before seen in nature.
No, yeah, I know. If I start bidding on something and Larry starts bidding against me, I'm just like, fuck. I'm only gonna hang in here for so long before I'm just knocked out. So
yeah.
But that's why we love Larry.
Yes.
Let's see. Here's a new TYH4275. That sounds like a burner account.
Yeah, there's a dead pit chat thing right there.
Oh, turn on your robot eye.
I don't know. You know how that thing again? How does this shit start? I don't know, and I've given up trying to figure it out.
You're the thing of legend now, Michael.
Yeah. Well, if the word legend applies to me in any way, then the word has lost all its meaning. That doesn't make any sense anymore to me.
Well, good to see everybody in the chat, even the Dead Pit folks. I did want to mention the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that so I went through the whole list of all the projects and stuff that you've worked on with George over the years. And the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about is probably going to be kind of out of left field, but it's something that I've talked about on the channel before, and I've actually done a video on before. And I think the video is called something like the best Romero documentary you've probably never seen or something like that. And Walking After Midnight, your behind the scenes documentary that you did on George's final film, Survival of the Dead, is one of my, I can watch that anytime. And just because,
thank you.
And get it. George is so comfortable in those interview segments.
He's actually a little too comfortable, because I had a problem. He kept sliding down so eventually he's doing the interview almost like this. And it was just like, well, and there were a couple of times, but at that point I was kind of just like that too. So he probably seemed level to me until I got the footage and I went, oh shit. But if I tried to correct it, then all of a sudden everything in the background slanted and looks like a Dutch angle or something.
Right? Yeah.
But,
it's like a shot out of Creepshow or something.
Yeah, exactly. but it's one of the things where if you just, it bothered me for a while, and then eventually it was just like, no one cares. They're just listening to what he says.
Yeah.
And if anything, it kind of adds something to it, because you see he's not tense. He's not, uncomfortable, because it was just him and me talking at that point, really. Because it's not like there was a huge crew there. It was just me and him and my DP that I worked with on a ton of projects, Graham Potts, who lives up in Toronto, and we were all friends. So it was just pretty much, and there's not a lot of lights and stuff. We just made it a real minimal setup, and it's easier just to kind of relax in situations like that where there's not a whole crew or a studio or any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most like relaxed I've ever seen George in like an interview setting. He's open. He's cracking jokes. He's got the puppet there, which is one of the funniest
puppet
things.
That was amazing. That was not long after he got that, and so as soon as I saw the puppet, because I think that might have been the first time I saw it when I went to his apartment. He had it, and I went, well, that thing's going to be in there somewhere. There's no way we're not going to use this.
It opens the documentary. It's the first thing you see is that puppet sitting there with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and all you hear is you guys just in tears laughing in the background, and it was so funny. Sets the mood for the whole documentary, where you're just like, okay, this is going to be. I mean, it's a on the set behind the scenes documentary of Survival of the Dead, but it's the thing I love about it the most is that it's also it's just George. It's just you guys hanging out and talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it adds extra gravity to it because it did end up being his last film. It's the last time he was on set.
Yeah.
And I think, for just my 2 cents, but with what you did with Just Desserts, Creepshow, making that its own individual release, what you did with After Effects, making that its own individual release, I think there's something to be, like, something extra to be done there. I don't know how much extra footage you have from that shoot,
it's funny you should bring that up, actually. I remastered Walking After Midnight not too long ago because it went up on Screenbox for a while. I'm not sure if it's still there. It might still be on Screenbox. But I had never color timed that because it was a rush to get that out. The edit was completely finished and polished and everything, but I never color timed it properly, and there were some sound things in here and there I wanted to fix. And so I did that for the Screenbox version, and I thought about adding some more stuff into it, but there really wasn't anything I wanted to add back into it. That documentary played pretty much as I wanted to. However, there's a lot of footage and a lot of outtakes from that because we shot almost every day on the set of Survival. I mean, I was up there as kind of like an embedded journalist with the crew, and Graham was shooting everything. And I am going to do a similar release like I did with After Effects for Walking After Midnight, with a whole bunch of never before seen footage, and I'm going to do a commentary on that, and it's going to be coming out. I don't know when it'll come out, but it'll be a relatively easy thing because I've already got the artwork done. Oh wow! And so it's I'm actually looking forward to for that because. There's just so much footage that just really didn't have a place in the documentary. And I was thinking, because with After Effects, there were some things that when I went back to look at that, it's like, I wish I had left that in. When I did that for Walking After Midnight, when I was remastering it, I was just like, well, I could have no, I don't really want. And it was one of those ones where it's like, no, that's where it needs to be. That's the length it needs to be. And there's really nothing I'd want to add back into that. But there's a lot of other interview segments that didn't get used. There's still quite a bit of stuff with George that didn't make it into the doc. Quite a lot of stuff on the set. Because again, we shot not every single day, but like if we were, if shooting 5 days a week, we'd shoot at least 3 days every week. And sometimes more depending on what was going on. That was a very difficult shoot. Survival was a bitch to shoot. The weather just boned us we had the first 2 days were good, and then everything after that was just a catastrophe in terms of the weather.
And that seemed to be par for the course though with like most of Romero's shoots.
Well, he always shoot, he would always shoot these things in October and November up in Toronto, and it's like, George, these things could be set in June, or it's just because goddamn, because I remember my couple nights on Land of the Dead was freezing ass cold, and then Diary wasn't as bad, although there were certainly some cold ass days, but we didn't shoot nearly as many exteriors on Diary. That was about, I would say, a 70-30 interior versus exteriors on Diary, because we shot so much stuff in the Winnebago. There were a lot of interior sets that we shot, and then all the exterior stuff, it seemed like just when you were starting to get a little bit cold or miserable, we'd go inside for a couple days. And so there was, and also there was rain cover and snow cover. So it's like, it's going to be raining, so we'll just duck inside and shoot the Winnebago in the studio today. Survival, we didn't really have that luxury because it's more like 80-20 in terms of exteriors and that. Yeah. Almost all of that movie takes place outside. And so, we just got boned, and we ended up spending a lot of time out of this one particular location, Chalk Lake, where we ended up shooting not only the stuff we planned to shoot out there, but it ended up filling in for some other locations that we lost because we were behind schedule because of the weather. And it was the most miserable, misbegotten fucking location. It was so cold out there and so difficult to get to that, it looks idyllic as hell in the movie, because when you watch Survival, it's right after they show up on Plum Island and they discover that they've been killing all the zombies, and the reeds are blowing and the water's lapping at the shore, and there's these rolling green hills that kind of lead off, and I'm like looking at that in the movie going, that's a fucking lie. Because if you turn that camera 20 degrees in either direction, you see a bunch of crew people there standing going, fuck, it's cold. Fuck, it's cold. Fuck, it's cold. It was and we were out there for, my memory is we were out there for over a week. on like a 4-week. I mean, and then we went to the next shooting we had after that was at the Ferry in downtown Toronto, and that was like Shangri-La. We were so it was still cold, but it was like it's dry, and we could go inside. Oh my God, it's in the documentary. Well, you can see in the documentary how cold we are. I mean, it was just. I mean, Roy Frumkus made the unfortunate decision to come out that day to visit, and I'm standing out there trying to talk to him. It's like, Roy, I want to talk to you, man. I love you, but I can't feel my fucking face, man. It was really.
There were no words.
Oh God, yeah. So survival was a bitch. Survival was an absolute bitch, and I think that's reflected in the documentary to some extent. However, what are you going to do? Complain? You know, it's I'm on the set of a George Romero movie. I'd say, what, you know, yeah, the conditions aren't great, but it's just like, what are you going to do? And the crew up in Toronto were wonderful. And, you know, they were going through it, and a lot of people weren't happy about some of the things. But it's like, it's for George. What are you going to do? You know, give up, not do it anymore, you know?
Well, I think even at one point in the documentary, because you actually got to play a zombie in Survival of the Dead.
Yeah.
And I think at one point while you were, because you're in the scene where they're tearing the guy in half, and it was so cold that the prosthetics or whatever they were using inside had already frozen. So
frozen over, yes. Yeah, because they had built the body out of synthetic materials. It wasn't like with Joe Pilato and they put real guts in there from, you know, pig guts or whatever. No, we were using it was all synthetic materials, and they built that body. I don't want to say it to be anatomically accurate, but you know, there was a spine, there were organs, a rib. I mean, they really did it up nice, and they had it in a heated tent all night. And the idea was that they were going to bury the actor George Jarsky, who played the ranch hand that we tear apart. He gets buried in the ground halfway up, and then they come in with the body, attach it to him, and then we come in, rip open the back, and then we were supposed to separate the spine and then pull the body off of him. Well, there were complications getting him in the ground and then hooking up the body. So the body ended up staying out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know how long it was out there in the unguarded cold. And the cold was just whipping through that corral out there on that property that we were on. And it froze up. And it was like, and I think it's described in the documentary as like trying to tear apart a frozen rump roast while wearing mittens made of pain. That's pretty much what it was. And so I couldn't feel, honestly, my hands, after the take was over, I could not feel my hands at all. That's not an exaggeration. If you had lopped them off with a machete, I would have been like, bummer, that sucks. You know, it was just, I mean, it was, yeah.
Well, the take went on forever because it took you guys so long. I mean,
it's like, how long I timed it. It was like 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Jesus Christ, get this. And we were dying. It's just like, they built this thing too well. And at one point I did want to kind of turn to the camera and go, this is hard. George, this is totally putting me off ever wanting to do this in real life. I just, you know, tearing apart a body is a lot harder. Whereas like in Day of the Dead, like in Day of the Dead, you know, Joe Pilato pops like a fucking blood balloon.
Oh yeah,
and just, you know, which is great, but it's just like, no, man, this was fucking, yeah. But Matt was out there with me, and Steve and a whole bunch of us, and Rob and Glenna were all out there, friends of ours, and we were just that corral. The thing about that corral that night was on a wonderful farm out there, just north of Toronto, and the problem with it was every animal. Every allergen you could have, like every animal was out there that you could think of. And everybody had allergies attacking them and all. And also, not only was it cold and it was raining a little bit, but mostly it just misted all night. So it just kind of soaked into your clothes.
Yeah.
And so you never felt warm. You never felt comfortable. And it was just, it was not comfortable physically at all, but it was like, yeah, so what? It's like, you know, again, you keep thinking there are at least 10,000 people out there right now I can think of probably off the top of my head who would trade places with me immediately. So I'm not going to bitch about being a little
Yeah,
cold.
I used to have to deal with that type of weather when I was a mailman. I used to be a mail carrier.
Oh Jesus, I can only imagine.
Rain, sleet, snow. We're always, and I'll trade places with you anytime if you want to go walk around fucking delivered mail.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's Survival was of the two shoots, it was definitely the most difficult in terms of. However, what the weird thing is, Diary was relatively smooth. So smooth, in fact, and I don't know if this is commonly known, but we got ahead of schedule. I think we were like a day and a half, maybe almost 2 days ahead of schedule at one point, and we were shooting out at the warehouse where they run into the National Guard guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the scene with the acid head zombie, where the jar of acid dissolves his head and everything, that was added 4 days before we shot it. Because we were actually running ahead of schedule, and George and Peter Grunwald, the producer, and John Harrison got together. So, you know what? We're running ahead of schedule. We're here. What else can we do? And so they added that whole thing where they get lost underground and wander back up, and then the battle with the go looking for the guy, and turns out to be the zombie, and they put the acid on his head. All added. I think they came up with it on Thursday, wrote it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we shot it on a Monday. Because we were out there, we had that location, and it was like, why not? I may be getting the exact days wrong, but it was really quick. It was one of those things. It's like hey, what else can we do here? We've got, and it was a great location where we shot that. It was being torn. It was an old commercial industrial building complex that was being torn down around us while we were there. And I remember there was one where we shot the basement stuff where they get Jason Creed, the character, gets lost. Was an old medical records or a medical office or something. We found medical records dating back to the 80s just sitting in boxes down there.
Oh wow.
It was really creepy. It was like they didn't have to dress it down there at all. It's just pretty much just like
kind of worked out.
Get some lights on and get the cameras down here and let's just shoot, because there's really not much we can do to make this any creepier down there.
Now, was Diary the first, because that was the first time that I became familiar with who you were as Michael Felsher. I remember before Diary had come out, they had released, I guess it was they did the little making of segments. I think they released them on MySpace or something.
Yeah, because that's MySpace was
and I remember you were like kind of the host of the thing, and I'm watching, I'm just like, oh, who's this guy? I don't know. And then like you find out it's like, oh, this is a dude. He's worked on all this shit that I've been watching for years at this point on from Anchor Bay and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was
kind of like the first on set type of documentary project that you had done up to that point, or
that was the first time I had gone on there as a member of the crew, being a documentarian essentially. Again, Graham Potts, it was weird. My idea originally, and I proposed this to John Harrison. John Harrison was really responsible in making sure that I got hired on that gig. George wanted me there, obviously, but George has got a million other things that he's got to focus on, and John was the one to really work with the producers and made sure that they allotted some budget for me, basically enough just to keep me up there. I didn't, it was just like, whatever, I just want to be there.
Yeah.
And I got in, I ended up hosting some of those things, kind of not by accident, but it wasn't my intention to. But they wanted to say, well, why don't you just host these things and talk about it? All right, sure. And then when I was doing Survival of the Dead, that was, we went into production really fast on that one, so there wasn't a lot of time to really talk about what we were going to do. So I just started hosting stuff in case I needed it.
Yeah.
And then as I was going along, it's like, well, maybe I'll just keep doing this and see what ends up happening with it. And we ended up not really doing any kind of online promotion for that, and I just made the documentary out of that. I was reluctant to put myself in the documentary at first because I don't want to, make it my story, but it was a way to help tell it from a little bit more of a personal standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it added to it. It adds to it. You're you're portraying us, the audience.
Yeah,
you're being what we would be on the set. Just like, oh my God, like
exactly. I mean, I wasn't gonna come on there like, hi and welcome to the set of George A. Romero's Survival of the Dead. I don't want to be a news reporter there, just hanging out for a day. But it was, but Diary, those segments were fun. And again, I got to do a short film on the set of Survival, which was great. which we shot right at the end of the second day of, or maybe I think we only did one day of additional shooting on Survival. And they said, we want to go shoot this short, and they came up with this idea for it. We grabbed Alan Van Sprang and ran to a back room in the studio where we were working, and we shot this little short film called Sarge, which I've also restored and remastered, and I can include on the Walking After Midnight thing and do a commentary for all of 5 minutes that it runs. But it was, that was short, an exciting opportunity. But yeah, George, just working. I mean, we did. The other thing that I remember we did on Diary of the Dead is we shot these little confessionals pieces. That was an idea the producers had. They said, we want to shoot each of the main cast members in like the bathroom of the Winnebago talking to the camera, like in between scenes that we see in the movie. So, write one for this moment, write one that happens in between this moment. And so we did all those pieces, and we hadn't really planned to do one with Jason Creed because we never really see him in the movie. He's always behind the camera. But I thought that we should do one with him that has like right at the beginning when he we'll make it appear like right when he knows that this thing is turning into something that he's going to want to document. I want to have him on camera talking about, I'm just here, I'm capturing this thing. The one time we ever really see him talking to the camera, and he's just going to talk about his excitement at what's happening. I don't know where this is going, but I want to be there to see this. And the actor came in to do it. He was really cool. And we did a couple takes, and I asked him on the last take, I said, before you turn the camera off, pause for a second. Like you feel there's something else you want to say, but you don't know how to say it. There's something, it's like, oh, I want to put a button on this, but I don't know how to, and then turn it off. And he did it perfectly, and we wrapped that. And at some point, I sent them to George to look at, and he thought, I don't know if and he said, oh, those are really cool. I said, can you send me all the ones you did with Jason Creed? And so I sent him the 3 or 4 takes we did. And the next thing you know, he used it in the movie. So that it's in the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
That right after he dies, there's a little cut of, and that's the thing that we shot with him. And I'm just, when I realized, okay. I'm not, but that also speaks to who George was as a filmmaker. He wasn't so ego bound that it's like, it must only be something that I shot. It has to be my idea. George would take ideas from everywhere. It's like, all about the film. It's like making the film better. And he liked having creative people around him that would support him, but also challenge him and also bring him new ideas. So he wasn't an egotist by any stretch. He loved, I think, on a very basic level, he loved the collaborative spirit of filmmaking. He loved having a filmmaking family, the one he originally had in Pittsburgh, which evolved a little bit while he was there. And then, of course, when he went to Toronto, he had it again. And that was something that you couldn't help but feel, even under some of the dire circumstances of Survival, when we're all just like, fuck, this sucks, this is awful. But you never heard anybody openly grousing about it. In close quarters, you'd be like, this sucks. Fuck. But then on set, professional all the way. Because at the end of the day, George is over there freezing his ass off with everybody else. He's out there with us.
Like on Land of the Dead, apparently that was a real tough shoot too, because it was so
I was only there for
miserable.
And I was only there for 2 days, and on the first day there was incredibly cold. So much so that it resulted in one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, which I've told that story before, so I'm sure you don't need to hear that again.
Tell it again.
God damn it. Okay. So I got to be a zombie the second night, which was the dream come true moment of all time. So that's like one of my greatest moments of my life. However, it's tempered by the fact that what happened the first night was we were shooting out in this half-completed suburban neighborhood. It's a scene in Land of the Dead where Cholo has stolen Dead Reckoning, and he parks it in this residential neighborhood, and he's about to fire his missiles on Fiddler's Green. And Riley and everybody gets there and confronts him and takes the Red Dead Reckoning away from him. So that's what they were shooting out there that night. And it was really cold. It was one of those nights where I don't think it was probably that cold, but it just felt that cold. Especially after you were out there 3 or 4 hours. And I was just hanging out being an observer. That's all I was doing. And after a while, and I didn't want to go, and they had Video Village and everything set up in one of the garages of one of the houses. and they had a huge heater there in front of at the mouth of the garage that looked like a jet engine turbine. Is what it looked like, because it was belching out this huge amount of heat. In the front of it, you could see flames roaring in the fucking thing. That's how hot. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
And around the edge of it were all these little blobs of different colored plastic, where people's jacket buttons had caught the thing and instantly melted on it. No kidding. So you couldn't stand right in front of it. You had to stand at least several feet back from it. But I didn't want to go up there and bother anybody or get in the way of anybody. So I just stayed out pretty much all night until the point I was just like, I need to get warmed up. I'm freezing to death out here. So I waited for a moment where the entire cast was going out for a take and there was nobody in Video Village at all. And I go up there and I just go up to the front and I stand right at the mouth of the garage as close as I can to this fucking inferno heater thing. And I'm just like, oh, and I'm just, taking it in, trying to get as warmed up as quickly as I can before anybody comes back. And as I'm standing there with my eyes closed, I suddenly become aware that there's someone standing to my right. And I look over and it's Asia Argento, whom I've never met. And at the time I was working for Anchor Bay Entertainment, and we were just getting ready to release, or we were working on a release of Dario Argento's Trauma, in which she's the female lead.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to get an interview with her, and I was just like, well, shit, she's right here. I could ask her about that. And I was a little bit surprised to see her, but not like shocked or like, oh my God. I just noted, oh, Asia Argento's here. It's like, introduce yourself. Tell you from Michael Felsher from Anchor Bay. Pleasure to meet you. We're doing the movie Trauma. Could we possibly schedule an interview for you at some point after you're done here? And, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what I was going to say. That was what I had planned to say. Instead, I turn to her and I say, you pretty. Now, you know that movie Inside Out?
And her reaction was?
Well, you know that movie Inside Out with all the little guys in the head? Okay, imagine that, and all those guys are on fire, okay? And I'm just trying to figure out, and I'm just like, what the fuck did I just, what the fuck, what did you just say? And I finally go, say something else, get something else out. And I say something to the effect of, you were in Trauma. You were good in that. I like that. And I'm just like, oh, gee. So she's looking at me. She's smiling and being very nice. And I think she assumed one of two things. She either assumed that I was from another country and didn't speak English at all, or that I had had some sort of head injury or something. But she was very sweet. So, thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, by the grace of God, she was called out for another take. And as she's walking out, she walks past the big giant heater thing. Without breaking her stride, she takes an unlit cigarette out of her breast pocket, sticks it in front of the space heater, which bursts into flames, and she starts smoking the cigarette and walks out to the set. Now,
so cool.
Just before she did that, thankfully missing the whole you pretty thing, another crew member had come up to get warm and was standing on my left, and he saw her walk out and do the thing with the cigarette. And he turns to me and I look at him and he goes, that was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, yeah. And then I left and I went around the back of the house and I just stared at a wall for the next 2 hours.
That's what I would have done.
I was just like, what the fuck did I do?
It's so weird. Like, at least it was Ozzy Argento, beautiful, talented Ozzy Argento.
Yeah.
Me, like, that sounds exactly like what happened with me, like when I met George for the first time.
Oh,
like I had in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, don't say anything dumb, don't say anything that he's heard 1,000 times.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna say this. You think of something really cool to say or something, And I walk up to him and I'm just like, I'm your biggest fan. And it's like the most obvious thing. And he's
I know. Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, what did I just say? It's like he's heard this 1,000 times today.
But I bet you he was still cool and just very nice and
it was
sweet
like
with
he'd
you,
never heard it before in his life. He was just like,
that's the thing. He was like,
dial
in on.
It's my pleasure to meet you. You're my biggest fan. Like, oh my God. Like, and it completely like
he would dial in on people. I would sit with him at conventions for a number of years, and every person that come up, he would dial in on them and make that moment all about them and just give them, even if it was only a 10, 15 second, 20-second meeting. I never saw anyone walk away from George going, "Oh, that sucked," or "He was mean to me. What an asshole." You know, George,
never heard that story once. No,
I don't think. And he was always so appreciative of his fans, because I think on some level I don't know if he ever felt he didn't deserve it, but he was always just like, why do people? He couldn't see how we saw it. He couldn't see his movies the way we saw them.
Yeah,
you know, and I think that's common for any filmmaker. You know, you just like, I just remember how cold it was to shoot that night, and I remember I wanted to get this shot but didn't get that shot. You know, and stuff like that. But I think he was just so genuinely humbled by the fact that anyone gave a shit, and that would go. And like he would always say on set, you know, me and Steve Barton especially, or even Matt too, you know, we'd be out there on the sets, you know, freezing our ass off and really obviously not being having a great time in terms of the physical conditions. And he would just look at us like, why do you guys do this? Yeah, I wouldn't do this for $1 million. And he's just like, we're doing it for you. It's all for you, George.
Well, I think that's the most endearing thing about George. Like, that's why his fans still to this day like are so dedicated and inspired by him. It's because he was so humble. He wasn't, you know, John Carpenter. I mean, people, you know, I love John Carpenter, love his films, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's kind of like the other side of the coin, where I've heard so many stories where people meet John Carpenter and it's just like, oh, that.
I've had a couple of experiences where I got the cranky grandpa guy. And, you know, and look, you know, minor things at best. So I'm not going to go off on a huge harangue about him, but it still doesn't change the fact that he's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time.
No, of course
that'll
not.
never change. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, they say don't meet your heroes, and sometimes that's absolutely true. And then other times you end up sleeping on your hero's couch one night and your cat attacks your feet all night while you're sleeping. Like, okay, how did it? And that was the thing about George, is like, I had such a weird relationship with him in some way, because I started out as a kid admiring him and discovering his work, and then he became sort of a filmmaking god to me, you know. And then I got to work with him when I went to work at Anchor Bay, and I began to know. Then I became his friend, and then I began to work with him as a friend, and then, you know, that was a strange evolutionary process that I certainly didn't make happen. It just sort of did, and I've always been so grateful that I got to know. So at the end of it all, it was just like, you know, the last time I saw George, I don't think we discussed his movies once. I think we just talked about the news and some old films on DVD that he was looking for. And, you know, some of the best conversations you would have with him had nothing to do with his films at all. You know, that was work. That was like, all right, George, we got to put our interview faces on now. You know?
Well, one thing I always loved, because you've done some commentaries with George, and anytime I listen to a commentary with George, a lot of the commentary is him saying, "Oh, well, that didn't quite work," or "Oh, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to."
Yeah.
And then, like, when you're doing the commentaries with them, it's nice to have you there to be like, "George, nobody cares. Like, this movie works. Nobody's watching this movie thinking about, oh, the lighting wasn't right here or whatever." You know?
And
he's just like, yeah, I know, but it just.
And that's common with a lot of filmmakers, because again, they just see what they didn't get that day. They just go, "Oh, if only I'd had more time, I would have had this done, or I would have shot it this way, or why didn't I get coverage here? I should have gotten cut." It's always woulda, coulda, shoulda with you know, when they look at and I'm the same way. When I look at documentaries I've done, it's like, why didn't I go wider here, or why didn't I get him to talk about this, or why didn't you know? And at the end of the day, you just have to kind of go, well, it is what it is, and kind of leave it alone and just be happy. And I think George came around on some of his films later on. I think he was able to get some distance and go, hey, you know what? That wasn't too bad. It's not, you know. But George was always of the opinion that I remember him saying, I'm not sure if it was on Diary or Survival. It might have been on Diary, where he said, "Yeah, Mike, I think I'm starting to figure this thing out a little bit." You know, it's like, okay.
It's like just now.
Yeah. He's just saying, "Mike, I'm starting to get the hang of this a little bit."
It's like, you do know you made the greatest movie ever made, right? You made Dawn of the Dead. You know that, right?
Yeah, and you can't convince him of that.
No. again, it's like anytime he would watch Dawn of the Dead, like in any of the commentary with Dawn of the Dead, it would just be like, "Oh, that didn't quite work," or "That
it's like
looks a little."
You can see the camera in that shot. You can see that, Yeah, but that was George. It's funny because that was how George was on Diary of the Dead. I was the happiest motherfucker you ever saw in your life, because I'm on the set every day filming, documentary on George Romero, and I'm hanging out with everybody, and I just had like a smile on my face all day. And after a couple of days of that, George showed up on set one morning. I was like, "Hey, George, how's it going?" And he went, "Okay, Mike, you got to knock it off." I was like, "What is it? You're too optimistic. You're too happy. You're making me start to feel happy and optimistic. And then when things go south, because they always do, it's just going to be a higher place for me to fall from to get where we end up. So I need you to be kind of down and to say everything sucks and it's miserable. That way, if it doesn't go that way, then great. But if it does, then it's like, well, I knew that it was going to happen. So you got to prepare me for the worst, Mike. I can't, it's like, all right. Well, all throughout Diary of the Dead, I couldn't shake the happy part, because it was like, I was just so happy to be there. And so a lot of the times George would be like, "How are you doing?" He'd be like walking like 20, 30 feet away, going somewhere on the set. And he'd go like, "How we doing, Mike?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's great. It's terrible, George. Terrible." But he'd be like, "I'm not buying it, Mike." I was like, all right. Then the last day of shooting of principal photography, we were shooting at the hospital. And I was genuinely very sad, because there was a lot of, my father had died like just not long before that. And I was thinking about how he wouldn't believe that I'd be doing this right now. And because he knew how much George meant to me. And, it was that, and it was the last day of a really great experience and all this. And it's like, oh man. And, so George, walked by and said, "Mike, how are we doing?" And I genuinely was like, "George, it sucks. This is terrible. It's just a disaster. It's, it's awful. Just absolutely awful." George goes, "Mike, cheer up." And walks off. I'm like, "But no, you told me to, ooh." It's like,
well, it was the last day. He was probably like, "All right, thank God."
Well, yeah, he was just lighting up. It's over now, Mike. It's like, oh. Yeah. So that was, but I will say this: it was a lot easier to do that on Survival. It was a lot easier. How are we doing today, Mike? Cold, bitter, pissed off, and not happy at all. It's like, good. You're doing well, Mike. Yeah. But I love.
Let's see here. I got. Want to ask you about. You mentioned meeting George, and you talk about your relationship that grew as your friendship with George over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about this photo.
That, I want to say, was 1996, I think. That was a signing that George did at the Monroeville Mall. We're on the lower level in front of, I think, JCPenney's. I'm sure Larry can point out one of the light fixtures in the back and go, no, that's light fixture R17. That places it in front of the blah, blah, blah. No. And I'd only been to the mall for the first time 2 years before that in 94. It was the first time I visited the mall. Drove all the way to Pittsburgh just to see the mall. And I literally cried when I got in the parking lot, because I was like, I'm at the mall.
Yeah. I did too.
Fucking mall. And this was in December, and it was the height of Christmas shopping, and the place was packed. And they had all the Christmas decorations were up. All the Christmas smells that you would associate with Christmas were in the mall. And it was just so cool. And the mall at that point still felt a lot like the mall, because the lighting fixtures were the same. The railings were the same. The little footbridges and all the fountains were there. JCPenney's was still there. The bank was still there. So there was like, there's that, everything. But then 2 years later, and I don't know how I got on, I think I got onto a mailing list with Elite Entertainment, who was doing all the Laserdisc releases of George's work. And they were working on the Dawn of the Dead one. And somehow I found out about this signing event that he was going to be doing in 1996 in the summer or something. And so I made another trip up to Pittsburgh, and I got in line with everybody else. I'm in line. There have been several fans before me, and I'm there. I have that picture, and I have that VHS somewhere in the other room. But that was the first time I met George. Yeah, and the weird thing was,
The Dawn Director's Cut double tape. I got that.
Yeah, because Anchor Bay had just released that on tape. And I think that's why they were doing it. But here's the weird thing about that. There's a couple weird things about this. At that show was Don May Jr. from Synapse Films, Jay Douglas, who was the VP of Acquisitions at Anchor Bay Entertainment, who later became my boss at Anchor Bay and is the reason I got hired up there. Don May, of course, has become one of my longest and dearest friends. I ended up doing the Synapse website for a while, and then I've worked with Don for almost 25, 30 years at this point, or whatever it is. Two other friends are in that line behind me. I never met any of them that day. Never met a single one of them. And I got videotaped by someone who just called me and said, we want you to talk about George and what he means. And I spouted off a couple things. And it ended up on the Laserdisc. It was part of a fan testimonial section. So I'm on the Laserdisc talking about, it was probably filmed like 30 or 40 seconds after this picture was taken. And then Perry Martin, who was the one producing the Dawn of the Dead documentary that was on the Anchor Bay box set, he found out about that, and son of a bitch used a clip of that in the documentary. So it's like, oh, God. So yeah, that's me in 1996. That's
there you go.
1996.
And this was, you said, the first time you met George?
That was the very first time I ever met George. I had never had met him before. So I'm having the moment you had, where I was just like, I love your movies, Mr. Romero. But he was just like, oh, man. Pretty. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, well, not that bad. Yeah. Nothing was ever that bad. Jesus Christ. But it was, yeah, that was, so that, yeah, that's the very first, and that picture was taken by someone at the show. They took down my information and I completely forgot about it. And like a year later, I got mailed that photograph.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that, and I'm so glad they did, because it's like the idea that I, but yeah, that was the very first time that I ever met George in the flesh.
So this was 96. So when would be like the next time that you would meet George? When did you start working with Anchor Bay and doing
that? I started working at Anchor Bay in July of 2000. I moved up to Michigan in July of 2000. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time. And then I saw George 3 times in a row really quick. One, I went to the inaugural Cinema Wasteland show in the end of September of that year in 2000. And it was their first show. It was a Dawn of the Dead reunion. Big, huge Dawn of the Dead reunion. Probably still one of the biggest ones that's ever been done, that I think will finally be dwarfed by the one coming up at Living Dead Weekend this summer. But like everyone was there. George wasn't there, but almost everybody else was there. Galen wasn't there, but like Scott, Dan, or David Emge, Galen was there. Everybody. Tom, Clayton Hill, Sharon Hill, Jim Baffico was there. I mean, a whole bunch of people were there. Mm-hmm. And I met Chris Stavrakis for the first time there, and he and I became fast friends almost immediately. And traveling with and with Chris was a guy named Yoshi, who was a Buddhist monk from Japan, who was a huge Dawn of the Dead fan. He's also in that Laserdisc. If you watch that Laserdisc fan, there's a guy sitting in front of a huge gong, and he rings the gong and he does this. That's Yoshi.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
yeah. Sweetest guy in the world. Well, we hung out all weekend. We're just having a blast. Well, Chris had ridden in with someone from Pittsburgh, but that ride had to go back home early. So Chris didn't have a way to get back, and Yoshi was traveling with him, was going to fly out of Pittsburgh later. So we're talking Sunday. Everyone's kind of wrapping up shop, and I have to take down my booth for Anchor Bay and head back home. And they're talking. So I need to get back to Pittsburgh. I'm like, well, you know what? It's like 4 p.m. on Sunday. Pittsburgh is only a couple hours away. I'll drive you home. And then I can just drive back here later tonight. It's not that big a deal. It's like, yeah. And then he goes off for a second, and he comes back and says, I just got off the phone with George. We can stop by the house and say hi. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. That's great. Now, keep in mind, this is the first time I haven't seen George since that picture you just saw.
Uh-huh.
And then Scott Reiniger happens to overhear this, and he comes over. So, you're going to see George? It's like, yeah. I say, well, I'm not flying out till late tomorrow morning. Can I come with you guys? Or you're coming back? It's like, yeah. So a couple hours later, me, Christopher Rockus, Scott Reiniger, Yoshi, the Buddhist monk from Japan, all hop in my car, and we start driving out to Pittsburgh. We're doing lines from Dawn of the Dead in the car. Christopher Rockus
with Scott Reiniger.
Yeah, with Scott.
Wow.
In fact, Christopher Rockus recorded that on audio. We have like an hour's worth of audio of us goofing around going, yeah, I'm here, man. Peter. Oh, it was just oh my God. We get to George's house. I forget, like 9, 10 o'clock. And we ended up just sitting in George's living room. He was knocking back some scotch or whatever till like 4 a.m. And Yoshi had this look on his face the whole time.
I would too.
And there's a picture of all of us at the door right before we left that morning. And then Scott and I stopped at a Denny's to have, I guess at that point, breakfast. Got back to the hotel in Cleveland as the sun was coming up. So this now, like, by that point, it was almost like 8 o'clock in the morning. Scott got a couple hours, and he took his flight home. I have to be at work. I'm supposed to be at work at that moment in Detroit, which is 2.5 hours away. But this goes to show you what kind of company Anchor Bay was, or specifically what kind of a guy Jay Douglas was. Because Jay Douglas was a cult film fanatic. He loved all this stuff. It was his passion and everything. I had to call Jay up and say, Jay, I'm not going to be at work. I can rush home, but I'm really tired. I'm not sure I'm going to be coming into work today. And he went, why? What's going on? I said, well, I'm at the Cinema Wasteland show, and I tell him the whole story about what happened that night. Anybody else would have been like, well, it's really irresponsible of you. And that, come on, you gotta be in work when you do. But Jay heard that story and went, well, yeah, what else were you supposed to do? I'll see you Tuesday. I hung up. It was like, oh yeah, okay. All right, bye-bye.
Why bother calling?
Yeah, it's like, of course, you had a chance to hang out with George Romero. Like, fuck you, don't come into work. No, it's just like, yeah. So, yeah, he would have, if I had gone in there and told him, no, I knew I had to be in at work. He's like, you gave up a chance to hang out at George Romero's house till you could come into work? Are you fucking nuts?
Yeah, you're fired.
So I would have lost respect with him.
You're obviously not the right man for this job.
Yeah, it's like, who are you? You're fired. Just get out of here. But yeah, so that was, and then right after that, he did a screening of Bruiser at the Cisco Film Center in Chicago. And I got to see him there and really formally, talk to him there. And then the week or two after that, there was a Halloween party that Anchor Bay threw out in Los Angeles that he got invited to. And I saw him there too. So it was just like run right after the other. And maybe the Cisco thing was first. I don't remember. I can't recall. But in any case, all three of those were like right back to back. And that kind of sealed it. And then after that, he and I were in touch. And then I helped shoot the interview with him for Season of the Witch. The DVD is Season of the Witch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good
which
one.
Is... oh, I
was just talking about that one, too. It's like the one time that George, you can kind of see... George just like, yeah, I don't want to talk about these movies anymore. Like,
I was there when that moment happened. See what happened. I can explain the story behind that. George, remember, Land of the Dead was not an easy shoot for George at all. It was a very difficult shoot, not just physically, but also there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. It was a lot of money and a lot of pressure to do this thing, and then they called him back to do reshoots on the movie, and those reshoots were grueling as hell. And George had agreed to do this interview, but we were trying to fit it in on the schedule. As it turns out, George literally, we were set up at a Marriott hotel that he was staying at in another room. And we had everything ready, and he was going to come, and he was going to sit down, do the thing, and then leave. George literally came direct from the last night of reshoots on Land of the Dead at like 8 o'clock in the morning. He hadn't slept. Mm-hmm. It was... And as soon as I opened the door and saw him, I went, oh, no. I just felt so bad. It's like, George, I just wanted to tell him, go to bed. Please go to bed. I am so sorry. Especially to drag him out to talk about two movies he probably hasn't thought about in 30 years. Right. Including one that he pretty much had disowned at that point.
It's like, oh, God.
Yeah, So he sits down, and I could tell that, again, George is as gracious as he could be, but I could tell there was an edge. He's just, and he got through the interview, but there was a point, and Gary Hertz, a great guy I've worked with many years, he was the one he was the producer on that particular shoot, and he's the one doing the interview questions. And at one point he had asked another question about There's Always Vanilla. And that's the point. And you see it in the document, in the piece where he goes, I got to be honest with you. I haven't thought about these movies in a long time, and I don't really have much more to say about this. And Gary, being very astute and a very professional guy, goes, "Okay, no," and moved right on to the next thing. It's like, I'm not gonna.
But the way George does it was very George, though. It wasn't like, all right, but he was kind of joking, but it was like,
he did it in sort of a way. It's like, I gotta tell you. I guess he's letting you know, as like, I'm not gonna get pissed at you guys, but read the room. I'm at a point, but I just felt so bad. It's like, God, why of all times are we doing this now? Oh, God, that was So that was. I watched that featurette not long ago, and I'm just like, yeah, oh boy, that was.
I remember when I first got that disc and saw that interview, because I was one of those kids growing up, because I was still in high school when that came out, I think. And I was at that period where I was just trying to consume and take in everything George that I could find, every commentary, every documentary.
You gather, that's as a gatherer.
It's like,
give me everything.
I want to find out all I can. And I'm still like that to this day. Like, we're almost 40 years old. I'm still like, okay, I want to find out everything.
Right.
And I remember seeing that, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen that side of George. You could tell from the start of that interview, he's just kind of slumped over, just kind of like,
it was the worst moment to try to do an interview about these two movies with him, or anything really, but especially about those two films. It was just, but again, he did it. And because, he committed to doing it, he wasn't going to, and no one would have blamed him. Again, seriously, if he'd walked in there and go, guys, I'm sorry, I got to get some sleep, but there's just no way. If he had done that, not one person in that room would have been like, how dare you? It'd been like, yes, please go sleep. It's just
that wouldn't have been, but that's not how George was, like, cause I remember when I first met him in 2008, it was at that Texas Frightmare weekend, 40th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead. And he had just a ridiculous long line all weekend long. Like, it took me about 2 hours to get through that line, which at the time was, I was like, okay,
he probably took maybe a quick smoke break if he took that.
I never saw him get up. Like, I never saw him get up from the table. Like, it was
George would soldier through that stuff, because I was at a Chiller Theater one with him, and we were out in a tent in the parking lot. This was like the winter show. It's fucking freezing outside. The tent was heated, but the flap would blow up and cold air would blow in, and people were wrapped around the fucking block. I mean, it was a nonsense. He signed. I think he took maybe one smoke break. He signed for 8-9 hours straight, never stopped.
Yeah,
he just
that was my experience. I never saw him get up from the table, go out.
I got up and took breaks, and I wasn't doing anything. It was just like, but George, that was the way he was. He was just like, I just, if I keep getting up and taking breaks, it's gonna take me out of it. I got to be in. I just want to be in. And also, there was an element of it that these people came all the way here to see me. How can I not? He wanted to make sure everybody got what they came for. And that was important to him. He was, again, very humbled by the attention that he got on his movies. And he was just like, so it wasn't, there's always a performative element to someone at a table when they're meeting a fan, because they want to be, but with George, it was not just about, all right, let's act this part of being a nice guy. He genuinely was just like, thank you. It meant a lot to him. It really meant an awful lot to him. I remember, it doesn't matter now, but we had a big party in his room later that night at that show, at the Chiller show. And there were people from all of George's movies in there. Everybody from it was an amazing gathering. And I was helping his manager, Chris Rowe, to kind of box up some stuff and everything. It's like, Mike, I got to go. I got to get a flight and get back. George isn't leaving until later. Can you give him the money from the show? Because I won't have a chance to give it to him. I was like, okay. You just knock on that door. He's in the next door next to this big suite, and just hand him the money. It was 2 huge bank bags. I think it was like $20,000 in just cash. And I handed it to George.
It almost felt illegal.
Yeah. And I just handed it to George, and was like, Mike, what am I going to do with this? It's like, I don't know. It's just, what the hell? You know, that was back before anyone did any card transactions. So it was all just 20s and 10s and 50s and 100s and stuff in these mangled bags. But I mean, it was just, and it was, no, he was loved. And it was amazing to me how many people right after he passed away, I never had a chance to meet him. It's like, well, he was always around. He was always doing stuff, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And now it's amazing how quickly he has become legend. He's become that story. It's like, you met George Romero? It's like, well, he was here just a minute ago. I swear to God he was.
Yeah, I have so many. I have quite a few friends that just never got to meet George that are huge Romero fans, and and I'm lucky that I did one time, because I've never been a big convention guy. I never go to a lot of conventions, but if it's something like Living Dead weekend, or if it's something like back then, it was like, oh, it's the 40th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead. I got to go to this. George is going to be there. This is my opportunity to meet all these people for the first time. I had to do that, but I don't usually go to a lot of conventions. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think now. And, George has been gone for what, 9 years? 9 years now. No way, really? Wow.
2017, so it's coming up on 9 years,
But
that's hard for me to
seem that long ago. Yeah,
and his birthday was just a couple days ago, so there's another round of people posting pictures. It's always a little bit kind of like, oh, it's just. But he was a central force in my life in many stages throughout the course of my life, even years before I ever met him. It was a weird evolutionary process to his and our relationship, which I couldn't have made that happen. It just sort of did. And why he ended up, I'm not trying, this isn't false humility or anything. I'm always amazed by, like, why would he deem me special enough to pull me into his inner circle like that and trust me and consider me a close friend? And that's like, I don't even have an easy answer for that. All I can just assume is that it's genuine, because why else would he do it, And it resulted in him calling me up there one day. He and Suze came up with this idea he wanted to watch all his movies. And I went up there to interview him. I would watch the movies with him and then talk about each movie after he was done. And we did these audio recordings, which we're still talking about figuring out a way what to do with them. And I was up there for 1 week, and then I went up for another week, and we did his entire career chronologically from beginning to end and talked about every single one of his movies. And it was interesting to see his reactions to some of them, because he had, like when we watched There's Always Vanilla, he hadn't actually watched that movie since he finished it.
Mm-hmm.
He'd never watched it. And it was kind of emotional for him, because he's seeing a whole period in time, which is long gone now. That was a really weird transitional time in our society and our culture when that movie was made. So it was like watching, it plays like a period piece now. It plays like something that if they tried to make that movie now, it would cost $100 million, right? Just to replicate that effect of that, But, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm down on myself. Like, why would he like me? Because I think I'm an entertaining enough guy. I think I'm a decent guy. But when you've had this guy on a pedestal for so long, and then all of a sudden he's pulling you up there with him, not in the level of importance, but kind of that wall comes down between being a fan and being a coworker and a friend and so forth. I just consider myself extraordinarily lucky, and I hope he got as much out of the friendship as I did.
I think that's pretty obvious. Like I was saying earlier, with you're walking after minute, you could see George's comfort with you, and it was just like watching two buddies talk. And that's why I think all of the stuff that you did for George's films over the years was the best stuff out there. That's the most genuine George you're going to get, because George was working with somebody that he trusted and was a friend.
I appreciate that. And I that came into play when he asked me to come up there and do those recordings with him. Because I thought, if he's asking me to do this, that must mean, because I was, and I love the fact that I remember him asking, I was like, Mike, is that something you think you can make some time for? I know you're kind of busy, but like, George, if I were on fire, right. I would stop. And it's like, I'll be up there in a minute. I'm not even going to try to put myself out. It'll just have to, it's like, if I have the time,
right?
Like,
yeah.
It's just like, my house could be burning down. I'm like, let it burn. I got to just, I don't
I have
care.
insurance. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Is there anybody in there? No, then fuck it. I don't care. It's just, yeah, it's.
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, I that's like, I got to hear those tapes at some point.
I'm actually in discussions right now with someone. They have an idea on what to do about it, and I think it's interesting. I have to still talk about it with Suze Romero, because we entered into this thing. We didn't know what this was going to be used for when we recorded it. We just wanted to do it and then figure out. We're going to turn it into a book.
Thank God you guys did something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so I have to talk to Suze about it because we're still kind of like partners in this and figure out what we want to do. But I've been approached by someone who has an idea about what to do with it, and I kind of like the idea. So I'm going to talk about it with him a little bit more, and then talk with Suze and see maybe if we can get something going there. Because I want people to hear the stuff. I really do. And I think people would really get it. Because, it's him. I mean, he recorded it. And that was another reason we did audio. I didn't want to do video because I don't want a camera there. And I don't want lights. I don't want any of that shit. And I just had a little audio recorder that was behind us with the mics turned outward towards us. So as we spoke to each other, we were speaking right into the mics, but the microphone wasn't right in front of us. And we're on his couch in his living room. So it was just very casual. That's what I wanted. I just want this to be two guys sitting on a couch watching some movies. And that's all it really was. And I think, it should be interesting when we figure out how we're going to put some of that stuff together. But it's being discussed.
I can't wait. Were there any particular moments of any of his films or anything that kind of took you back where he was just maybe, where he was saying like, oh, this is actually a lot better than I thought, or maybe the reverse of that, where he was like, oh, I don't think this is actually very good, but everybody else loves it,
after There's Always Vanilla, he at one point he got kind of emotional, and I wanted to ask him why, but it felt intrusive in that moment, so I just let it be what it was. And then after that movie was over, I said, Mike, that wasn't half bad. I've always just kind of written that movie off, and it's like, there's actually some stuff in there I really like. And then we watched Season of the Witch, which he always did have kind of a positive opinion on. And after that was over, he went, oh, that wasn't as good as I remembered it being. I thought it was better. Because he wanted to, he was actually planning to remake that movie. That was one of the only films of his.
He wanted to
develop
that. Yeah.
I don't know if he wrote the full script, but I know he did a treatment and was fully trying to get a remake of that going. He said, I could do a much better job with that material now. And I have some more interesting things to say about it. I don't think we didn't have the time or the budget to do it right back then. And when we were watching the movie, it's like, no, that wasn't, I thought that movie was a little bit better than that, Mike. It's like, well, what are you going to do? But then we would watch something like Creepshow and go, yeah, that was good. That was really good. It's like, and it was, but then there were other times where it'd be kind of like, hey, yeah, I didn't quite get what I was hoping for. But it seemed less, it seemed more, the closer we would get to like the more recent films, there would be a little bit more of a lack, the memories of making them are still a little bit too fresh. But then some of the stuff that he did 20, 30 years ago, the newness is kind of worn off, and he's able to judge them. I mean, he'll never be 100% objective about his movies ever. But it was interesting to go through it chronologically and see how his feelings had shifted over time on certain things, and how they had maybe kind of stayed exactly the same. That his opinion didn't really vary very much on that at all. It was interesting.
Yeah, I think everybody's. This is my feeling. Just put them on CDs. I'll buy them. And I'll just write you a blank check, and you can just send them my way. Did have. Question here from Synth, pretty good question. What were Felsher's most difficult and triumphant moments in his documentary career? Are they captured in his films? So what would you say would be like your most proud moment, or the most difficult thing you had to do that when you finally got it, you were like, fuck, I got it,
There have been lots of triumphant moments. I've had an embarrassment of really great moments doing all these featurettes and commentaries for all these filmmakers over the years. It'd be hard to pick one that was the most triumphant. Sometimes it's the interviews you get that you didn't think you'd ever get, and they end up turning out to be really rewarding. I have to say, I was kind of in a down place at the a couple of years ago. It was at the end of the pandemic, and I was just kind of burned out, and not really sure. And I got an interview with Bryan Cranston for Alligator. Now, before you're saying, wait a minute, Bryan Cranston wasn't an alligator. No, he wasn't. He was a low-paid intern on that movie, basically an office worker. And he ended up getting moved over to the special effects department, and he helped load up the big alligator with blood bags when they blew it up at the end of the movie. And he ended up meeting Robert Forster on that movie, who later made a very notable guest appearance on Breaking Bad many, many years later.
Yeah.
So I reached out to his agent. I might be interested because Robert Forster had passed away not long before that. And I thought it might be interesting to see if Ryan wants to talk about that. And I'm thinking, yeah, Bryan Cranston's going to talk about his days as blood bag boy on Alligator.
Right.
He agreed within 24 hours, and we ended up shooting the interview at my producer's studio. Jim Coons, who's a great guy, works with a lot of people, who's saved my ass more times than I can count. And I Skyped in to do the interview. I don't normally do that because I don't like doing it, but I wanted to meet and talk to him. And Bryan Cranston gave me a 25-minute interview. It was one of the best interviews I've ever gotten. He was so gracious and so cool, and it's one of my favorite featurettes I've ever done. And it's just, so that one felt like a triumph, not only getting him, but getting this really wonderful guy. I mean, my opinion of him could not be higher. It really was just that was really a wonderful, wonderful moment. In terms of low points, I had a guy walk out on an interview once. That was, he showed up, didn't like the way that the room looked or something, and he left.
Was it Richard Rubenstein?
No. Actually, I've had very good experiences with Richard, actually. But no, it was another guy. I won't bother saying what his name was. That one was bad. And then the worst one of all time, and I won't name him, but it was for a project. This was several years ago, and he agreed to do the interview for a certain amount of money. He did the interview, and the footage was terrible. He was a grouchy, just really unpleasant, short answers. You'd ask him a question, what was it like doing this? Oh, okay. And it was like, geez. So I made the mistake of making sort of a vague post on Facebook about it because I was so pissed off. And then I calmed down and I went back and I contacted this guy and I said, look, man, I don't know if something was bad. I don't know what was up that day or anything, but the interview's not very good. And you're not coming off very well. Would you mind reshooting it? Because I'm not going to use it otherwise. Because it's just, it's not going to help the piece, and you're not going to, I'm sorry, you're not going to come off looking good, and I have no interest in making you look, I don't want to do that. He initially said, sure, fine, and then he saw my vague book post, and he put two and two together, and he called me back. And as soon as he told me what he put two and two together, I knew I was cooked. And he's going on this long harangue. I could get people and tell my fan base about this whole thing, and they blah blah blah. And I'm just like, and I'm just going, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry, sir. The whole time I'm thinking, just how much more money and where does it go? This is a money grab. This is all it is. And sure enough, at the end of it, I'll do the interview again. I'll do it again, but I want another payment.
But it's going to cost you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I did, and went back to the same location, same cameraman, did the same interview again, got the footage back, and it was okay. It was fine.
It was passable, at least.
It got across the finish line. But it was like, you motherfucker, and I will never work with that guy again, ever.
Is this like a well-known guy?
Certain people would probably know who he is. He was not an actor or anything with the film. He was a crew member.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is many, many years ago, and it was one of those things where I could have done the piece without him, but he was really involved with he was kind of a linchpin to get some of the stories told. And at the end of it, I was just like, I want to get through this and know that I got what I needed to out of you. It's just after all this bullshit,
Yeah.
But I've seen the guy at a couple of conventions kind of walking around, and I'm just like, fuck you, man. So that's the only guy. That's by far the most negative experience I've had. And I wouldn't interview that guy again for any reason whatsoever. I don't care.
You ever gotten nervous? Like, is there anybody that you've gotten an interview with where you were just like kind of shitting your pants, like fanboying, like, oh my God,
like you pretty bad? Although, it's funny, the you pretty thing, I was not nervous at all. I wasn't, when I saw her, it wasn't like, oh my God. I was just like, oh, it's Ozzy Argento, but something just fucking went wrong.
It was the cold. It was the cold.
Yeah, I guess maybe part of my brain was frozen. I don't know what the hell it was.
But you have a great story out of that, though.
Yeah, but it's the one thing that keeps, because the second night I got to be a zombie, and it was like one of the greatest nights of my life. So instead of, walking around, I got to be a zombie on Land of the Dead, then I'll just hear in the back of my head, you pretty. Oh, that's right.
Keeps you humble. Keeps you humble.
I'm a schmuck. I'm not special. I'm just that idiot that said you're pretty. The nervous thing. I can't. There have been. I was nervous, very nervous, when I first interviewed Richard Rubenstein for Creepshow.
See, that would be the one I would think of too, because it's like you hear so much about Richard that you're just like,
I'd met him before. I had gone to have a meeting with him in New York with Jay Douglas from Anchor Bay when we were renegotiating Dawn of the Dead, and I met him there, and it was fine. But I'm going to his office to shoot this interview for Creepshow, which I was stunned he agreed to do it.
Yeah, that was surprising when I saw him pop up in Just Desserts. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh,
I was really happy about that. And we get to his office, and my cameraman, Graham Potts, came with me on that shoot. We're setting up in his office, and this was in the days before LED lights. So we were setting up the lights in the conference room where we were going to film him. And we blew the power to his office. The whole room goes dark, and it's like, oh, what happened here? The entire office went black. It was all power. And I'm just like, okay. Tell you what, how far up are we? On the 22nd, 23rd floor? That's great. Could you open up one of those windows? Because I'm just going to just jump right the fuck out of that one.
Gotta get out.
But, yeah. Fortunately, I found out very shortly after that from one of the secretary or his assistant there. It's like, don't feel too bad about this. It happens all the time. We plug in a coffee pot around here, it blows. I mean, it's just ridiculous stuff. Electricity in this building sucks. I'm like, well, that's reassuring. So they did manage to finally get it all set. And he came in and he was very cool, but he had all his answers prepared in advance. He went through everything, boom, 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 boom. And I said, may I ask some follow-up questions? You may. I was like, okay, good. And I got him in there. And he was very cool with me. I have no complaints about Richard at all. But when the lights went out and I looked around the corner and all the lights in the office were out, I went, sure. Graham and I have shot in ramshackle shacks, abandoned buildings with the diciest power in the world and not one problem. We come to a fucking skyscraper in goddamn lower Manhattan and we blow the fucking power out.
In Richard Rubenstein's office of all places.
Richard Rubenstein's office. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So that one I was very, very nervous about. Yes, obviously. And the only other one I can remember having nerves about initially was actually from Creepshow as well, when I interviewed Ed Harris at his house in Malibu, which I found out a little while ago. It was a wonderful house out there in Malibu. Most of them are. Apparently it burned down in the fires from last year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Amy Madigan was talking about it in an interview she was doing for Weapons, and she mentioned the house in Malibu they had was burned. I was like, oh man. Because we got out there to Ed's house, and Ed, there was a battered pickup truck in the driveway, and Ed is out in his garden with his hands digging an irrigation ditch for his garden, and says, I'll be with you guys in a second. If you want to set up there, that's cool. And I'm just like, well, this guy's not putting on airs. He's just
yeah, he's got shit to do.
He's just a regular dude out there just digging a ditch in his yard.
Yeah.
We go up, we shoot the interview, and I remember being like, okay, we're covering Night Riders and Creepshow. How do I bring up the dance? How do I bring up the dance in Creepshow without being like, your dancing is weird, Ed Harris?
What the fuck was that, Ed?
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, but I don't want to come, because, but he's been very polite. Ed was exceedingly polite and professional the entire time. But he's still an intimidating dude. Because it's Ed fucking Harris. So we get to Creepshow, and I'm just like, so Creepshow, what do you remember about Creepshow? I was like, I don't remember much about Creepshow. I had to do this little dance. I didn't know how to dance. And wow, he brought it up. I had the door has cracked open. And so I was able to talk to him. I was like, thank God, because I didn't want to have to bring it up. But then the funny thing was, is we left, and I was calm. He was like, "Oh God, I'm so glad this went well." And as we were coming out, car comes up the driveway, and out pops Amy Madigan. I was like, "Hi guys!" We're like, "Hey, hi Amy Madigan, how you doing?" So that was really cool.
So we're doing Romero stuff. Would you like to sit down and talk about?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Dark Half.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Why
but
not?
yeah. But that was yeah. So that was the only. I mean, there's always a level of nerves whenever you do an interview. It's like, please let the lights stay on. Please, camera, don't fuck up. Please, audio, please record everything. But at the end of the day, I can't think of too many more where I was just like, nah. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's not arrogant of me to say or anything, but when you do this for a living, you do get kind of accustomed to it. So there's a certain level of calm, but there are times where you get to interview certain people. It's like,
Ed Harris is definitely one of those that I would be. Not that I've ever heard anything bad about him. Like I just had Norman.
He's just he can be an intense guy. I mean, people have come like on the set of Knight Riders. There's that story of him punching the gas tank out of the bike because he got frustrated, and there was a guy underneath there, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, hey." But he's very passionate and a very dedicated guy. But yeah, you won't find anybody. George loved him. John Harrison's nothing. So I mean, and
he's still like best friends with Donald Rubinstein to this day.
Oh yeah, I tried. John was going to score, or he did do a score for Pollock. The movie. I don't know if it got used or not. I can't remember, but.
I remember he released a CD of it because it was like
he did release a CD of the music. Yeah. And Donald, I interviewed him for Martin. He was a nice guy too. I love Donald.
Yeah, he seems like the sweetest guy in the world. Yeah,
such a different guy than his brother in temperament and personality. Very, very different guy.
Well, it's funny because Richard is really like the business-minded business type, and Donald's the artist. The bleeding heart artist of the family, and it is like that funny dynamic there between those two that you would never guess that they were related.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have. But again, I know Richard gets cast as a villain a lot when it comes to Romero's films and some of the stuff, the lore and all that. And look, I can't comment on, what the relationship was like. And I know that there were issues and blah, 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 blah. Richard was a very good producer for George at the end of the day. And you just look at the films that they did together, the results bear that out. And Richard did care very much about those movies, and he still does. He conducts business his way, and it's his way or the highway, and that's just how it is. And whether you agree with it or not, or like it or not, you have to respect it. And he has always been very generous with me. He's always responded to me whenever I've asked something or needed something. And look, that's, I'm not going to, it's easy just to say, well, it's all, Richard's the bad guy. That is a quintessential misunderstanding of the relationship. It's much more nuanced and textured than that. And, but I've always had very good experience with him.
Yeah, it's, like you said, like people, there is, because I mean, the whole thing with like, Dawn of the Dead hasn't had a release in the US since 2007.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been longer.
Yeah.
And there's always the things like, oh, well, Richard just wants all the money in the world to do it and all that.
I don't know the particulars of why that hasn't happened, but again, having gone through Anchor Bay, Jay Douglas was like the only guy who was able to make that deal work. Is like only Nixon could go to China. Well, it's kind of like, Jay, and
yeah, it's like Anchor Bay had something in particular that Richard was okay with.
Honestly, it was Jay Douglas. Jay
I know Don May has stated in the past that Synapse was very close in doing the 4K for Don at one point.
A lot of companies were very close, but one reason or another, Richard just didn't want to do it. And at the end of the day, I don't know what those reasons are, and I'm not going to get into that because I'd just be speculating. But I can say that at Anchor Bay, it took almost 2 years for the relicense to work out. Jay just didn't let it go. And Jay was the right fit to make that work, and he made it work, and to date he is the last person who managed to do that.
Yeah, so because it doesn't seem like there's anything imminent or on the horizon for Martin or Dawn of the Dead.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
But Larry was asking here, Alf, are you going to ask Mike the standard 10 questions you usually do? So yeah,
there's a standard 10 questions.
Typically, when I have a guest on for the first time, we play a little game called 10 questions where I throw you 10
I love
questions.
shit like this. Let's do that.
All right, let's do it. So these are 10 questions, Romero related questions. First thing pops into your mind, or we can go on however long you want on these. We can discuss them, but 10 questions with Michael Felsher. Let's do it. Number 1, favorite Romero film.
Tricky. Very, very tricky. Creepshow. Followed closely by Dawn of the Dead. In fact, if you ask me tomorrow, that answer might change. Because Dawn of the Dead I encountered at a very impressionable moment. That movie changed how I looked at horror movies. And maybe but then Creepshow became something that I just delved into the craft of it so strong, and the visual approach and the dial. I mean, I love that movie so much. And I think it's probably George's most beautifully crafted film is Creepshow. The level and the people that he had working for him, the especially like Cletus Anderson, who was a production designer, it's like all those incredible sets that he built. Like for years, like the crate sequence, the whole the whole lab, I always assumed that was just a place they went to. I didn't think it was a set.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was? I was like, holy shit. And, it's just everybody on that film was working he had the best cast. Tom Savini's work is amazing in that. And just Mike Gornick and the photography and the use of the scrims and the gels and the lighting. I think it's obvious. I kind of think Creepshow's okay. But Dawn of the Dead is one of those films that I just, it might be my favorite. It's either Dawn of the Dead or Creepshow. I don't know if I can really pick one.
I'm with you. Like Dawn was the one that when I first saw it changed the way that I looked at not just horror film, but just film in general. Still to this day,
shot on
location.
Work.
Yeah,
it's the character. I mean, at one point, Stephen is proposing marriage to Fran, and she turns him down, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, she's saying no." Wait a minute. I haven't seen a zombie in like 10 minutes.
Right.
And I don't care.
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden you care about the characters. And it's like when I was younger, like I always loved horror movies. Like Tales from the Dark Side, I know it was one that the Tales from the Dark Side, the movie is one that you've done a lot of work for.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of great stuff out there.
Yeah.
And that was my introduction to horror when I was a very young kid. Like Tales from the Dark Side, the movie was the first horror movie I remember watching when I was a kid.
It's a good way to get introduced. That's a good one.
I still love it to this day. But I grew up watching horror movies, Jason, Freddy, I was all the basic stuff. And then when I discovered Dawn for the first time, like you, it was like, oh, I'm kind of invested in this as almost like I'm more interested in these characters than I am what's going on with the zombies right now.
These guys are, that's the best thing I can say about George's films is like, you take the zombies out of Dawn of the Dead, I still want to follow what happens to these people. Right. And I felt the same way when I watched Tina Romero's first film, Queens of the Dead. It's like, you take the zombies out of this, I'm still interested in what's going on in the lives of these people.
Yeah. And it's like interesting that you say that because I would, okay, so I went into Queens of the Dead very skeptical. You can go back and watch some of the streams, some of the videos I've done. I'm just like, I don't know about it. It's dead. Then when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is actually really good. Like, it's actually funny. It's well written. It's well made. Like, Tina's got a lot of talent. Like, she's a chip off the old block.
I went and saw that in the theater here when it played for like a week just down the street. And I was like, and I wanted to like it very much. But at the same time, I'm just like, oh, God. Because if I don't like it, I'm not going to lie to her and say I loved it. But I'm just going to have to avoid Tina for the rest of my life. Right. It's like, I don't want to. But it's just like, okay. And I'm watching it going, oh no, she took the right lessons from what her dad did. She realized, okay. And yet at the same time, that's not a film her dad would have ever made.
No.
It was very much in her own voice.
Yeah.
And I was really
it's
like,
her world.
Very much.
There's so much about that film that only somebody like Tina
in
could
that
make,
world would have understood. Because I'm watching this going, none of this is, I'm not from this world. I have never been part of anything like this. But at the same time, she gives you characters that you can relate to. Even the characters you don't necessarily like right away, you learn more about them and realize, oh, this guy's an asshole, but he's hiding the fact that he got hurt and he's suffering from an addiction. And, you know, this person that he was in love with is now dead in a cage in front of him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he's trying, and it's like, oh man, this is a real storyteller.
Yeah.
This is a genuine, and so I walked out of that movie going, thank God. Oh, I like the movie. I'm like so glad.
That's how I felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, because like I said, I went in skeptical. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have to sit here and watch this, but I felt like it's my duty as a Romero fan to give Tina's movie a shot. And like 10 minutes in, I had the notes written down so I could talk about it on the show. On the notes, like 10 minutes in, I wrote, this is actually is this funny? Is this actually?
Yeah. It's very
good?
funny, and she got a great cast. That's another film, and like George, like her dad, she managed to make the few cents she probably had to make that movie look a lot more than it really was.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved all the little references to her dad's films and the dead cues, and even seeing Iron City Beer in there for a second. It was like, all right.
Tom's cameo as the mayor.
Tom's cameo was the greatest. Like, yep, Tom is the sleazy mayor. I can see. Yep, okay, this works. And I love Galen when Galen popped up as the nurse. It was like, all right, the stern nurse. It's like, all right.
That works for Galen. If you've ever met Galen, you can see that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my answer to your first question.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Question number 2. What is Romero's best film?
Good question. That's different because favorite and best are different things.
Mm-hmm.
I've had this debate with like Sam Raimi. My favorite film, Evil Dead 2. His best film is A Simple Plan. You know,
100%. 100%.
And sometimes the favorite and the best film are the same thing. Like John Carpenter,
Mm-hmm.
Thing. That's the best film and it's my favorite film. But with George, his best film.
It's best film. Works on every level.
Honestly, that's hard because again, but the one that I immediately thought of was Martin.
That's what he would say.
Yeah, Martin, or even Day of the Dead, maybe, because I think Day has aged like a fine wine.
Oh yeah, I think Day definitely has more fans now than it did when it came out.
Oh, infinitely more. I mean, back when it first came out, it had a really lackluster release, and it got confused with Return of the Living Dead by a lot of people. And and I didn't like Day of the Dead when I first saw it. I wrote that in the liner notes for the Anchor Bay DVD.
That's right.
Which George hung around my neck for the rest of his life. He was at a convention once, and I'm sitting in the audience watching, and he goes, yeah, Day of the Dead's getting a lot more respect now. A lot of people didn't like it. Yeah, Felsher didn't like it. He didn't like it at all. It's like, don't call me out now, Jordan. Don't do that. But yeah, Day of the Dead is one of those movies where I went into it wanting Dawn of the Dead 2. And it's like, well, George isn't interested in doing Dawn of the Dead 2. He's done that movie already. And it was only when I went back and watched it again and let go of all that I went, oh wait, this is interesting. And now I think I rewatch that one more now than I do Dawn, to be honest with you. So, but I would say that
all the time, like people, I think even a couple of years ago at Living Dead weekend at one of the VIP parties, Nicotero got a group of fans together and said, okay, everybody that thinks Dawn is their favorite film over on this side, everybody that thinks Day is their favorite film over on this side, and Day of the Dead out
one. Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, okay.
That's interesting. And I think George would love that because he really came to love that movie a great deal. Because again, that was one that was born out of, he had a much bigger vision for that film originally, and he had to kind of scale it back. So I think he might have gone into that initially with a sense of, but this isn't what I originally was hoping to do. But then he ends up making this other film, which I think, quite frankly, and I've read the original script for Day of the Dead, and while I think that could have been an incredible film, I wouldn't trade it for the film he got. It's just,
I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. It feels like a play, like a stage play. Like
and the claustrophobic nature of it all and the hopelessness. And you just get the sense that, and now that I rewatch it, I see so many little things in that movie that I didn't necessarily catch the first time. There's much more nuance to the soldiers than I kind of gave credit for. And you look at it and go, you know what? They're not wrong in wanting to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
They're not wrong in wanting to be done with this shit, that it's stupid for them to still be down there. They're not wrong. They're just assholes. Yes. But, like, the end image of that movie with Sarah on the beach, they're down there playing around in the water and she's in the back. and she's crossing off the calendar. You think, oh, now back when I was younger, I was like, oh, she got out. They're on the island. They're in paradise. Blah blah blah. But then I look at it and go, now I look at that ending and go, she hasn't really let go yet. She's still marking time. She's still keeping records.
That's interesting.
So
I've never thought of it that way, because I had a conversation, another YouTuber on here, Orion Trips. We had a conversation. He did an entire video on Day of the Dead talking about how Day of the Dead is the perfect ending of the trilogy, because it's Day of the Dead is all about letting go. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
it's like
you have to let go of the past.
Letting go of society and everything that you're used to.
What we had is over. There's no saving that. We need to start over. We need
But I never.
We need to finally learn from our fucking mistakes.
Yeah, go to an island, make some babies.
Make some babies, and teach them, Sarah. Teach them never to come back down here and dig these records out.
That's right.
And that's the best scene in the whole film. That's it lays it out for you.
Yeah,
it's just like this is. They got the negatives here for all your favorite movies.
Yeah, because in juxtaposition to like Dawn of the Dead, where they're desperately clinging and not letting go. They're trying to recreate society inside of this shopping mall and just
it's always
that life is normal,
And the ones that don't make it out are the ones who wouldn't let go.
Right.
Because one of my favorite moments in Dawn is right before the bikers get there. Ken Foree is zipping up the SWAT outfit, and he takes the watch off and he throws it down on the table with all the other stuff from the mall. That's him going, I'm done. It's not about this place. I got to survive. And whereas Steven has made the decision, no, it's ours. We found it. It's ours. And it's like, he doomed himself.
Fatal flaw. That's right.
Yeah. But in any case, Martin or Day of the Dead, I think, is his best film. And I think he would have probably gone Martin. And I hope that we get to see the longer version at some point. I'm glad that it's safe and secure with the foundation. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's that movie is, again, talk about capture. The town of Braddock is the character in that movie. Just the urban decay surrounding Martin at all times, and it's such a great character study. And I love that movie. I think he might go with Martin or that, or maybe even Night Riders, but I think he would probably go Martin or Day.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Martin's like my second favorite movie ever behind Dawn, so I'm totally with you on that one. So all right, number 3, most underrated Romero film.
Oh God, Bruiser, probably Bruiser. And I think that's starting to turn around finally. That's starting to. Although you know what, I'm going to probably go Survival of the Dead, because I don't think that one's gotten the love that it deserves. It gets dismissed way too easily. George was having a lot of fun with that movie. He was telling basically a zombie Western, and it's the most fun zombie movie he's ever made since Dawn. And I think that one's due for a reappreciation. Bruiser's finally getting it. Finally. Thank God. In fact, the 4K is going to be coming out here in North America finally from Kino. We are doing some new features for it. And in addition to what was done overseas. And, so look for some really cool stuff that's going to be on that release, but I'll talk more about that later. And so Bruiser is definitely starting to kind of get it's just desserts, I guess you could say.
There you go.
After all these years, but I would pick Survival. And I think it was a film that just was dismissed outright. I mean, look, if you don't like the movie, that's one thing, but so many people, again, they went into that movie wanting something other than what George was doing, and it's like, well. No offense, but who cares? Did George succeed in doing what he wanted to do? It's not about what you want from it, because I go into every movie now. What is the filmmaker trying to tell? What is the story that they are trying to tell? And did they succeed in telling that story? It's not about what I want. My expectations don't mean anything. I didn't make the fucking movie, So.
Yeah. I think a lot of especially with George's last 3 films, I think a lot of those films are dismissed, or not even dismissed, but unfairly judged because George's name is on it.
Yeah, it's like Land's starting to come around. People, I think, have come around on Land quite a bit over the years, and Diary a little bit. But I think Survival, and also because it ended up being his last movie, I think people are a little hard on it. And but it's unfortunate because I really enjoy that movie. Has some great performances in it. I think it looks so much more expensive than it really was. I mean, it was a bitch to shoot, but it paid off. And I think that one's due for some renewed appreciation.
Well, I think when Walking After Midnight comes out on
yes,
Picture, I think we'll start to rev that up.
Yeah.
But it's like my buddy Brandon Salisbury's said before in the past. It's like we need to start appreciating these films, George's later work, more, because their Land is 22, 23
right. It's 21 years old now.
Like,
so it's
they're becoming the classics now.
Yeah, we're just as far away from Land now as we were when Land came out from Day. So it's like
you're thinking about
it's the same amount of time. So what the hell's anyway. But so that's my answer. Is Survival of the Dead is the one that's most underrated.
All right, all right. This is a tough one. Nobody likes answering this one. Question 4: least favorite Romero film.
It's my opinion George never made a genuinely bad film. There are films of his I like less than others, more than others, so forth. But I don't think he ever made anything close to a bad movie.
Well, that's why I worded it that way. Least favorite as opposed to what is his worst film.
Yeah.
Because I'm of the same opinion.
It would be easy just to pick There's Always Vanilla because it's the one that I want always either doesn't think about or George himself. But I actually like that movie a lot. I don't know how overall successful it is because it didn't have a finished script really ever at any point, and it was kind of cobbled together. But again, it captures such an interesting time in our society and the approach and George as an editor back then was so experimental with the way that he would cut that I like. There's sequences in A Season of the Witch that are just they should be taught in film class. How interesting and abstract and weird and just musical almost the way he is. I mean, he was one of the most brilliant music editors of all time.
Oh yeah. We've had that conversation many times, especially like the way that he cut the music,
library tracks together.
Yeah, just the way that
There was one track in Dawn. There's one whole track in Dawn that I just thought was one piece. Turns out it's like cut together from 4 different pieces.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? What? But
and we're not talking about doing it on a computer back then.
No, he's there with film and doing all this shit on flatbeds and all that stuff. I mean, God, it's easy to just say go to Suno and remix that for me or something. But
right, yeah.
But no, in terms of my least favorite film, probably Dark Half. Dark Half or Monkey Shines. They're both very well-made movies, but they're not quite for me as personal as some of his other films are.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're very well-made movies. I wouldn't, and I respect both of them greatly, but I would probably say Dark Half. Monkey Shines, I think, has a little bit more of an edge to it, and the monkey work and all that stuff. It's a much more fun film. Dark Half is a little bit darker. It's a dark film, but it's also the ending. The ending doesn't quite work, and George always admitted that they weren't able to really finish it the way they wanted to, and studio bankruptcy kind of fucked that up. But I would probably pick Dark Half, although I still really like Dark Half. So it's like but yeah, that felt more like it didn't feel as personal as something like a Martin or a Knight Riders or his zombie movies.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. What are your thoughts on Two Evil Eyes? That's probably my least favorite of George's.
I really love The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar. I love the atmosphere in that thing. I really do. So I didn't even think about that one. No, I wouldn't. I really like that one. I really, everyone always tends to really go for the Argento story. Because I think it's a much more visually kind of, it's Argento. So it's going to be kind of over the top. But I think the atmosphere in Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar that's just great. I just love it. It's really creepy, and the performances are all fantastic, especially the late great Bingo O'Malley, who was one of the nicest guys. And I like The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar. I think that movie got undercooked in a way because it was originally going to be a bigger thing with more filmmakers involved. But I think it's a very solid short film. I really do.
Yeah, that would. I've always kind of felt like it was maybe George's least. I don't know. I felt like George was not as inspired on that film as Argento. It was Argento's project. Argento was the big Edgar Allan
He
Poe.
came in as kind of like, okay, that might be fun to do. And I would definitely say it's one of the ones where it's less, although it has more of a personal feel to it because it was an independent project. So it wasn't like he had any studio kind of over his head saying you can do this, you can't do that. So I remember like on Dark Half, he was frustrated by the DP and at times where it's like, why does it take you an hour and a half to light a bowl of fruit?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I didn't even think but no, I like his half of Two Evil Eyes.
Okay. You like that one eye there. All right. Question 5. What is an unmade Romero film you'd most like to have seen?
Oh God, there's so many.
Yeah. There's a lot to choose from.
Honestly, the one we talked about, the Season of the Witch remake, I would have liked to have seen what he would have done with that. Because he had some really good ideas about what the bet he missed on that original film. It's just like, really could have gotten more into the women's empowerment thing. I could have really done more with that than I did in that film. And he had some really interesting ideas on how to reconfigure that for for today's, not necessarily, because George wasn't necessarily thinking in terms of modern audiences and shit like that. But he was I think he just felt like we didn't get the story right back then because we didn't have the time, we didn't have the money, we didn't quite get it right. And I feel like I left something on the table with that one. And so that out of all the projects, that's the one that I would have liked because it would have been more personal for him. I don't really, and Brandon Salisbury, I'm sorry, I don't really regret so much the Resident Evil thing that didn't happen, or even the Mummy, although I think that might have done wonders for his career. Because again, he's playing in someone else's sandbox.
Yeah.
And the more money, the bigger the project, the less personal it's going to be, which I know frustrated him. Was a weird push-pull thing with him, where it was just like, okay, but more money means more voices. Less money means less voices, but I can't, because George dreamed big. He wrote big things. That was, Survival of the Dead was a big script, but he only had a few million to make it. The original version of Day of the Dead was a big project, but it's like he wanted to be unrated. It can't be that big. We can't give you that much money. But I would say Season of the Witch. And I'm sure there are some other things that I'm not thinking of right now. But nothing from that Hollywood development period are things that I would have wanted to see above that, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I was at the archive a few months back in October at the Living Dead weekend. We stopped and spent a couple hours in the archive, and I was looking at a lot of the unmade stuff that he was doing in the 90s. And Steven mentioned it. He was even trying to, do a script for Freddy versus Jason at one point. And I'm just like, really?
George wrote so much. George was he's like, how Louis L'Amour for like 20 years after he died released a book every 6 months. That's kind of how, for every movie that George made, there's 10 that he never got made.
Oh, at least.
That's it's an embarrassment of riches in terms of the unfilmed material. But yeah, I would have to say Season of the Witch a close second. I have to admit, I'm very curious what his version of Pet Sematary would have been like.
I'm with you on
Although
that.
I love the movie we got. I thought Mary Lambert did a great job with the one that came out in 89. And that's another one where if it weren't for reshoots on Monkey Shines, he would have done Pet Sematary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, God damn it.
Another one of those big what ifs.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well,
So Season of the Witch followed by Pet Sematary.
Yeah, all tangled up here. All right. What are we on? Number 6.
6, yeah.
There we go. Favorite zombie film not directed by George Romero?
Return of the Living Dead.
Okay.
I just love it. It's just such a well-written.
George wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, which I understand. I get that. Yeah. I understand that. But that movie is so fun, so brilliantly directed and acted and written. I mean, And I think I like it for the fact that it's not like George's films at all. It's got its own attitude. The casting in that movie was spot on.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, James Cameron, I think, should have gotten an Oscar nomination that year for what he did. The panic and the raw fear. He has this one moment which I delight in every single time. He's in there, and Clu Gulager's been called in, and you know that the guy's locked up in there. It's like, okay, we're gonna do this, and he's got this pickaxe, and he hands James Cameron the pickaxe. Says, here, Frank, hold this. And James Cameron just goes, oh. Just kind of looks at it like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this thing? And I mean, I would have handed him an Oscar for that moment alone.
Oh yeah, just the play between him and Clue is just like, he's like, all right, here you go, Frank. All right, you're gonna hit him with this pick. He's just like,
Jesus. It's just, I mean, so that's probably my favorite zombie movie aside from George's, followed by like Shaun of the Dead or something like that. Certainly.
That's a good one too. What are your thoughts on, because Larry gives me shit about this one, but I'm a huge Hell of the Living Dead fan. What are your thoughts on Hell of the Living Dead?
I have a great time with Hell of the Living Dead. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun, but it's barely a movie. Let's not. Bruno Mattei is not to be mentioned in the same breath as George Romero.
Well, Bruno Mattei didn't make that movie. Vincent Dawn was the director of that movie.
Right, Vincent Dawn, or any number of other fucking pseudonyms that have come out. I don't know who had more pseudonyms, Jess Franco or Bruno Mattei. Probably Franco, but
probably.
But yeah, Hell of the Living Dead is a lot of fun, but let's not kid ourselves. Come on. Yeah.
All right, number 7, favorite performance in a Romero film. What's your favorite acting performance in a Romero film?
Fuck you.
And I'm saying favorite. I'm not saying you got to be. This is the best. This is just the one that pops off the screen to you the most.
These are questions. These are great questions because I don't have easy, silly answers for them.
Good.
You're making me think. There have been so many great performances in his movies. I'm going to go with the one that first popped in my head, and it's not one that people normally do. Honestly, I adore Stephen King's performance in Creepshow.
Whoa.
I think his performance is in The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill as Jordy Verrill is exactly what that segment needed.
I agree, and he hates it.
Which
he hates it.
I wish he'd if that's actually true, I wish he'd lighten up. But he got a lot of shit for that performance when it came out, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was coming off that first big wave of fame of his, and movies were starting to be adapted of all his work. He just had Stanley Kubrick and Brian De Palma making movies out of his, and and so the critics, when I go back and I read a lot of the reviews of Creepshow at that time, a lot of the critics came in with an attitude, oh, so you think you can act now? And it's a very broad performance, and it's a very, but that's exactly what that segment needed. And over the years, I've always thought about which is my favorite of the 5 stories from Creepshow, because I love them all.
That's a good question, too.
And the one that I always settled on was They're Creeping Up on You, because I have an innate fear of roaches. And E.G. Moore, I think every performance in that movie is a classic. Every actor was so perfectly attuned to that material. Leslie Nielsen is at his best in that movie.
I agree.
Hal Holbrook and Fritz Weaver are doing a master's class in that thing. Adrienne Barbeau, who is so unlike that character that it still surprises me every time I talk to Adrienne. Oh, that's right. You're nothing like Billy.
Yeah.
That's right. But King, there's some pathos in that performance that I just dearly love. And Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill has overall become my favorite story because it's the least typical EC Comics story, because EC Comics is usually come up and, someone does something bad, there's a victim, and the bad guy gets their comeuppance at the end of it. There's some variation of that. Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, the bad thing that Jordy's not a bad guy at all. Like when the meteor lands, he doesn't have dreams of becoming rich and famous in terms of like conquering the world or becoming a rich asshole. He just wants to pay off a bank loan.
He just wants $200.
He just wants to pay off a bank loan. That's all he gives a shit about. He's a really sweet guy. His sin is his ignorance. Is that he doesn't recognize danger when it's right in front of him. So it's a much more textured and nuanced story for an EC Comics tribute than some of the other ones are. And I think that Stephen King has a couple of moments where you genuinely feel sorry for this poor bastard. He didn't deserve this. He just was too stupid to realize the danger. But he has that wonderful conversation with Bingo O'Malley as his father's like, I got out of that meter on me and I'm gone. Ain't I, Daddy? And then that wonderful moment where he's sitting there and he's looking around and he's got the shit all over him and he's like, I'm growing. He knows he's doomed. And I think that's my favorite performance of
it's so cartoon and over the top. I think George said he wanted him to be like the Roadrunner and
Roadrunner cartoon. And that's exactly, and you can't help but love meteor shit. I mean, it's just,
it makes him endearing to the audience because he's
you
so
love him. You love George,
like a big child,
you don't want to see anything bad happen to this dude. And yet you're just like, you stupid fucking bumpkin. You just doomed the world. Good job. So it's, but yeah, I look, you know, I guess maybe one of the reasons I think that's my favorite Romero performance is because of all the shit he's gotten over the years, which I thought was completely unfair. And I love him in that movie. But then again, but I'll tell you this much. If I was going to pick any of my other favorite performances from a Romero movie, all the actors in Creepshow would be just lined up after that. You know, Vivica Linfors, I would pick Leslie Nielsen, I would pick Hal Holbrook, Fritz Weaver, E.G. Moore. I would pick all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved E.G. Marshall.
Oh, E.G. is such a bastard.
He's so good
he's
in
loving it. He's enjoying the hell out of it. It's like, you know, I just love it. It's like, you know, it's like, who gave you my private number? I'd like to fire him. It was in my husband's address book, you son of a bitch. Well, I can't fire him, can I?
Right.
Like, oh, what a son of a bitch. I love that.
Oh yeah, he's so good. And I just watched 12 Angry Men the other night.
Oh, he's
so good in that too. I'm just like, I fucking love E.G. Marshall.
E.G. Marshall was one of those actors like, we need someone reliable who can sell every bit of this dialogue.
Yeah.
Call someone like E.G. Marshall. There was never a disingenuous word that ever came out of that guy's mouth as an actor. He just knew he was one of those old reliables, man. Even someone like Don Kiefer, who played the janitor Mike in Crate. He's perfect. He's perfect in that part. I mean, everybody understood the assignment in Creepshow. Every actor got it and modulated that performance exactly right. And I include Stephen King in that group. I really do. And if I ever meet the man, I'm going to tell them that to his face.
Well, he doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, he does like book signings and stuff.
Yeah, that's about it. And because you can only imagine how many people want an interview with that man. How many people have wanted a piece of that man's attention over the years.
Yeah.
But I dearly hope at some point, because George loves Stephen. He absolutely, he talked in those recordings we did. He talks like, yeah, Stephen was a cool cat. And the only regret he had regarding Stephen was like, we just don't get to see each other very often. You know, there was long periods of time where but then if you go on the Diary of the Dead DVD, there's the recordings of Stephen King playing the preacher.
Yeah.
And he's
having on your fucking knees.
Get on your which was an improv of Steve's.
Oh, yeah.
So, Steve said, I got one more. And he did. And George was just howling. He was just, oh my God, that's great. So he loves Stephen King. He just thought he was the coolest. He said Steve was a cool cat, man. And I would love to be able to tell Stephen to his face in case he had any doubts about how George felt about him. George really loved him a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean they were almost attached to, maybe not attached to the hip, but they were synonymous with each other for years because George was attached to so many of his stuff.
God, he was attached. Like the Girl Loved Tom Gordon, Pet Sematary, The Stand. They initially met to do Salem's Lot, but that wasn't really ever going to happen. I mean, there was tons of Stephen King related stuff that he was going to do over the years, and he only did Dark Half. That was the only one. You know, but
it's question 8: favorite Romero score or soundtrack?
Oh, Christ.
And this one is a big debate amongst people on this channel, because some people will stand up and fight for the Day of the Dead soundtrack, and some people will just tell you how John Vulo will tell you how horrible that soundtrack is.
I didn't like that soundtrack either when I first watched the movie, but then again, I didn't like the movie because it was just like, this isn't what I was expecting. What the hell is this? And now I love it so much because it's like the one ray of light in that movie. It's the only thing kind of telling you it's not all darkness. There is some light at the end of the tunnel, maybe.
Yeah.
There's
some foreshadowing going on in that score.
Yeah, it's like the Calypso music makes sense because an island kind of comes into play here. But I love that score now. Creepshow. I just think Creepshow is one of the best scores ever made for a fucking movie ever, period, done, end of sentence. Obviously, some of the library music George selected is great, but what John did with the theme and the specific themes for the characters in some of the other episodes, I mean, I fucking adore that score.
Well, George was originally going to go with library.
No, he wasn't. He was going to do library tracks like he had done on Dawn and so forth. And it was John who suggested, well, we got to punch some of this stuff up a little bit. And the fidelity just wasn't there with those tracks. So John said, well, I can compose some stuff. No shit. And that theme is still one of my favorite themes of any movie ever made. But Creepshow, that music is just in tune with that movie. It understands every single moment. It highlights and underlines stuff just right. And it's my favorite piece of Creepshow music, and it's also attributed because Something to Tide You Over was the last film that George edited of his. Dun, 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 dun,
and the cuts that George brought to that. I can't tell you how many times in my lifetime of my amateur filmmaking career or whatever, like I have taken from that. I always cut to a downbeat on a musical cue because of that score and that scene.
It's a great bit. And it's all London Bridges falling down, just played at different tempos.
Right.
Oh, it's great. He sells the tragedy of that so well. I mean, again, so I look, George has had a lot of great scores. Donald Rubinstein did great music work on Martin and Bruiser, and of course Day of the Dead, and then of course Goblin stuff, which I love, on Dawn of the Dead, and even recent stuff. Like I thought Climax and Heil did a really great score for Land of the Dead. I thought that was a really good score. Christopher Young's work on Dark Half is fantastic.
That's the one that I've come around to more over the years.
I really like that score a lot. I really like that score. The one I have not come around to is David Shire on Monkey Shines. I don't really much care for that score. But it doesn't hurt the movie. It's not one that I go back and watch a lot or listen to a lot. Oh, and Night Riders, of course. What Donald did for that was fantastic. And the song at the end is still so goddamn beautiful. It makes me cry.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs, period. It's just a great song,
Oh, here's a little thing. Did anyone else out there, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, when you were watching the final moments of Sons of Anarchy, and you're watching Jax on the bike going down the highway, and he goes right into the front grille of a truck, and I'm sitting there watching going,
where have I seen that?
Somebody has watched some movie. It's like, okay, all right.
It's a brilliant ending. Who came up with that?
Yeah, it's a great ending. Where have I seen that before? But no, Creepshow is my favorite score. Yeah, it's one of my favorite scores, just period.
Yeah,
not just from.
Think about John Harrison's. Just that. Not only just Creepshow and Day of the Dead, but
here's just to give you an example. Because it hangs over my fucking desk.
There you go. So, see, I knew I designed the thumbnail for this video for a reason. I was like, I'm going to use the Creepshow theme for Felsher, man. I think. Damn
right.
But man, John Harrison, from Creepshow to Day of the Dead, just two of my favorites.
And an incredibly talented guy in every respect. A great writer, director. He can act. Lacey Bickle in effects is one of my favorite villains of all time.
And his score for effects. I have that on CD over here.
I love that score.
You can hear the bones being laid for Creep Show. Yeah, you really can.
And also, and it must be said because I have to say it every time, John Harrison is one of the most generous, kindest people I have ever met in my life. He gave me that opportunity to do the After Effects documentary when he didn't know me from anybody, and he just had a feeling that I would be able to do it. And he's one of my favorite people on the planet. I love that man. He is. I just talked to him not too long ago, and we still keep in touch and see each other whenever we can. I think he's going to be at Living Dead Weekend, so I'll probably be hanging out with him.
Oh yeah.
But I cannot say enough about him. There's something about the Pittsburgh people. He's like that. Pat Booba was like that. It was like they're why not people, you know. Instead of being like, hey, I want to go make a movie. Yeah, why not? Hey, I want to do this and try this. Why not? You know, I mean, George was like that. Tom Savini's like that. There's something about those people that are just, and they open doors for you that they could have just as easily stepped through themselves or given to somebody else. But John, Pat, Tom, everybody, seems like everybody that George surrounded himself with, he recognized something. There was just an ethos in that Pittsburgh filmmaking community that was unlike anywhere else in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big, because like I'm a huge Romero fan. It's my favorite director, bar none. But anybody associated with Romero over the years, I have to know their work. I have to see their films or listen to their music or whatever.
Yeah.
And Effects was one of those that Effects I never heard of until your documentary had come out. And I was like, what is it? Oh, why have I never heard of it? When did this come out?
Yeah, such a great little movie. Yeah.
It is. It's so good. It's so ahead of its time. It's
very much so. I mean, God, making that movie today, there'd be cameras in every drawer.
Oh, yeah.
It always cracked John and Dusty Nelson and Pat up. That's like, hey, take some mirror off, and there's this huge TV camera behind. Now you could take the cap off this, and there'd be a camera in here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just like, so doing effects today, you could have 1,500 angles in one room, you know, and you'd never know there was a camera in there. But, yeah, no.
John's great in that too, as his performance in that's great. And when I met John, you were there. You were at his table when I met him at Living Dead Weekend a couple of years ago.
Oh,
and I walked up to him, and I think I got my Day of the Dead vinyl signed. And I was telling him, I was like, I just want to say, like, I really loved your performance in Effects. Like, and he was like, oh, really? Oh, well, if you can call that a performance, I guess. But I'm like, no,
because Lacey Bickle is nothing like John Harrison. Nothing like
but he's so eerie and so unsettling.
He played him like a shark.
Role,
He's a great white shark. There's just nothing
when he's sitting there playing the fucking Simon Says thing or whatever. It's just like, what is this? He's like Elon Musk before Elon Musk, you know? It's just like he's that guy hanging out doing weird shit, you know?
Pretty much. So yes. So I guess that still answers the question. The Creep Show is my favorite score, I guess. It's still really
there you go. All right, two more. Question number 9.
Okay.
What is there? Let me see if I can phrase this a little better. It's a little wonky here. Is there a Romero project that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done yet?
The thing with the audio recordings, that's the thing that I still want to do.
Okay.
I've never really wanted to do a George documentary. I feel like I'm too close to it. It would be too, I don't know. That's just not something I've really wanted to. But this audio recording stuff, that's something I really want to do because I feel like that's very personal to me. And I would like to figure out a way to present that properly. That's kind of the one that's on the bucket list as far as, I mean, in terms of any other projects regarding any of his movies, I'm up for any of that. But
need something for the crazies. So
yeah, no, the hell with the crazies. I can't stand the crazies. But honestly, when it comes to doing anything on his movies, it's all, for the last several years now, it's always been tinged with, yeah, but George is gone. And I got so much joy out of working on it with him that for me, it's like, so in a way, I don't necessarily seek out doing anything on George's films that much, just because it's like, oh, but George is gone. And I don't. And also, at some point, you know, I've gotten to do some work on in various capacities on so many of his movies. you know, other people can pick up the reins and move forward. You know, it doesn't have to always. I never want to give the impression that I have to be the guy that always works on a. You know, that's. I'm not a gatekeeper. These aren't my movies. I'm you know, but I've just gotten lucky to be able to help document them in various ways, and I'm very grateful for that. But you know, sometimes it's nice to see somebody else come in with a different approach to these things.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, Brandon's Resident Evil documentary, which you were a part of, is one of those that like I was really
I would never have thought to do that, and it was great to see Brandon take such a very serious approach to that and such a thorough approach to that material.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great guy. I really enjoyed doing that interview for him, and but you know, I don't want to. I like talking about George a lot, but I'm always wary of, I don't want to be out there talking about him every other minute just because I don't want to feel like I'm pimping out our friendship or something like that, or, you know, using it to get publicity for myself. That's not, I don't give a shit about that. But I do love, you know, he's someone that meant a lot to me and means a lot to other people. And I think that's why the audio recordings and everything, because that's tied to such a specific memory with him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he entrusted me to do that with him, you know, that's really the one I would say out of anything else. I can't think, not that I wouldn't, you know, if someone offered me an opportunity to work on the Crazies, I wouldn't jump at it. But I would, the audio one is the only one that I feel like I really have a driving passion to be involved with.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm anxiously waiting for, because I mean that's just it's like I was saying when we first started this. It's like with The Walking After Midnight. It's like at the time when it was being recorded, it was being produced as one thing, but over time, to me it has grown into something else, because at the time it was just it's behind the scenes of Survival of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's behind the scenes with George on George's final film.
And of course, we couldn't have known. And it's hard to watch that documentary, the last part where he's talking about where he might go going forward and what he's like, because what ended up happening after Survival was zombie films became big business.
Mm-hmm.
And the gulf between the big budget, like the World War Z stuff, which George had no desire to be involved with anything like that whatsoever. It was $20 million on Land of the Dead. That was too big for him. It was just like, it's too much. It's just too many voices, too much crap, too much bullshit. But then the only other way to get a zombie film made was to make it for $150,000 or under $1 million. And it's like, I can't do that either. You know, I just, you know, so suddenly the market for the low range to mid range horror film, zombie film dropped off, and George just couldn't get people to back it like he could have before. And so it wasn't like he didn't have a lot of other ideas and a lot of other things planned after Survival. Survival was never his intention to be his sign off as far as a filmmaker in any way, shape, or form. It's just the way it worked out. Mm-hmm. And so the documentary can't help but have kind of a sad little bit of a coda to it, because it's like, well, when they were recording it, they couldn't have known that it would be
right
the last, but
which helps it though, which is a good thing, because if it did have that, I don't know, vibe to it, I don't think it would be what it is. And what it is George having a blast making a Western.
And at the end, George is still optimistic about going forward. This is what I hope to do, and it leaves it on an optimistic note, on a happy note. And so it wasn't burdened with the knowledge that this is George Romero's final movie we're making. No, there wasn't any of that crap. It's just, let's just hope we can finish this fucking movie before we get frozen to death out here, you know. But those audio recordings and what we end up doing with them, that's my big want project for.
I think that's going to be a big one. Whatever you end up doing with that, I think that's going to be.
It'll be interesting.
It's going to be good stuff. Yeah. All right, last question, number 10 here, and I'll ask you this one because I had a different question down here, but I'll ask you this one because we haven't really talked about this movie a whole lot tonight. But are you Team Ben or Team Harry? Night of the Living Dead. Who was right?
Well, it's an interesting question. In terms of who would I want to survive that house with, Obviously Ben. I mean, there's no question about it. However, look, Harry Cooper was right. Harry Cooper was absolutely right. The basement was absolutely the most safe and secure place to be in that house. There was not enough leverage for enough zombies to get enough force to break that door down. It was a heavy door that was reinforced from the inside. Yeah, you couldn't get out. If they did get down there, there wouldn't be any other way out, but not necessarily, that wouldn't have been necessarily the case any better anywhere else in the house either. But anger got in the way on both sides. Ben makes a lot of mistakes. His anger towards Cooper gets in the way as well and forces him to make some incorrect decisions. And of course, Harry being, who he is, he doomed his whole family basically by, his actions as well. So I would want to be with Ben, but Harry in that particular situation, I think out of the selection of bad choices they had available to them, his was the one that I think offered the better chance for survival ultimately. But it's interesting, and I've brought this point up before when it comes to Harry. They wrote that part a certain way, and then they wrote Ben a certain way. When they cast Dwayne Jones, they didn't change anything in the script to acknowledge his race. So all the dialogue and all the animosity that Harry has towards Ben is certainly based on the personality. It's warring, two guys, alpha males, basically trying to fight for dominance in a situation that's growing increasingly tense. And yet, if you were to line up 50 people who watch Night of the Living Dead and ask them all to name 3 traits about Harry Cooper, how often do you think the word racist would come up? Probably in almost all of them.
Yeah, I mean...
Even though there's no evidence of it in the movie. There's no... He never once utters any racial slurs, but just having Dwayne in there at that time and place in that environment and having a white man be the person that he's up against, it's there. And George always went back and forth. This was something he talked about, not just with me, but publicly as well. He felt he always missed a bet by not mentioning the race issue in the movie somewhere.
So I disagree with that. I think it works better that he doesn't.
And I agree with you too. I said, George, he didn't have to. Having Dwayne in there was enough. That did it. Any other thing would have been unnecessary. That's how outside the box that was back then. By having him in that part. Just that changed everything. In fact, Dwayne, I remember there was a story that was told about Dwayne was concerned about, George, I'm worried about the scene where I have to slap Judy. It's like, oh, we'll fake it. Say, no, that's not it. I'm a black man slapping a white woman on screen. This is not going to go over well with some people. But George, being very liberal as were all those guys back then, was like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's within the story. People understand why you did it.
It's 1968, man. Nobody cares.
Yeah. But Dwayne very understandably was just like, well, I'm me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to be out there. There's, but so it was interesting. George copped to the fact that, we were liberal white guys who were thinking that things are a certain way. We can't be behind Dwayne Jones's eyes. We can't see things through, but we thought we were, it's like, so there's still a gulf there. And I think George wanting to mention race, I understand why he felt that way, but I always argue saying, no, George, you didn't need to. The simple act of having Dwayne Jones in that movie was enough. And again, that influences how you think of Harry Cooper. And a lot of people, I've seen reviews mention racist Harry Cooper. It's like, okay, but there's no evidence of that in the movie. But,
Yeah, it's easy to draw that conclusion, though. But it's funny. I don't know. Have you ever heard of... So... my buddy Matt was at the archive, the Romero archive at the University of Pittsburgh. Was it last year, something like that? And he was looking through some There's Always Vanilla stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it just had some handwritten notes of or pre-production stuff for Vanilla, and it had so it had the cast members written down and what they were going to be paid per week. And of course, it had Ray Lane, $500 a week, Judith Ridley, $500 a week, and then below that it just had Dwayne. $250.
Huh. Interesting.
Have you ever heard anything about Dwayne Jones being considered for the role that I'm thinking that he would have been in would be the Richard Ritchie role,
right?
Michael Dorian, and And it, to me, in my mind, it instantly just goes to the idea of like, okay, so George was about to take this shit to another level and have this interracial thing going on at that time.
And I don't think, I mean, Dwayne didn't do a lot of interviews, and I don't think he ever mentioned that.
Yeah, I've never heard.
And who knows? That. And maybe it was something. Maybe it was just something that they were thinking about. Maybe they never even talked to Dwayne about it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just their plan to, and it just never worked out. And it's like, well. That would have been, I did not know that. That would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
That would have been really interesting.
Because when he sent me that, he was like, dude, have you ever heard anything about Dwayne Jones being considered for, a role in, Joy's Vanilla?
Like, I mean, it makes sense that he would have been. I mean,
he was a great actor, and he was like in their orbit at the time. So you would think like, they'd probably reach out to Dwayne for a role like this. But like in that role, the Richard Ritchie role, Vanilla would be like, I
wonder if, I don't know. Was Dwayne making Ganja and Hess at that moment? At that same time?
Ganja and Hess was 73, 72. So it would have been right around that time.
Yeah, I think, because There's Always Vanilla would have been before that. I don't know. Maybe that has nothing to do with it. But interesting. That I did not know. And now I'm just one. It's always the, you want to travel to an alternate dimension where certain things happened. And the one that will always kill me on this, and that's when I recorded the commentary for Dark Half with George, and my good friend Stuart Andrews, feedback from Rue Morgue Radio, who was a really good friend and also was a good friend of George's, who sadly passed away last year.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, really, he was a really good guy. Anyway, I called him in to do the commentaries on Monkey Shines and Dark Half because it was like, I want someone else to do this with George because I'm starting to get sick of me. So it's like I want somebody else to have some other, because I'm doing the documentaries, so I want someone else to maybe ask some things sort of different with George with these, and someone he knows, so it's still comfortable. And Stuart lived in Toronto, at that time, not very far from George's place, so it was easy enough. And we're setting up for the commentary, and we're just talking about stuff, and George is talking about casting for Dark Half, and it's like, yeah, no, we went through, because Orion had lists of people that they would approve before we'd ever go, and it's like, I know this guy, that guy, and we're talking about Tim Hutton because George didn't have a very easy time with Timothy Hutton on that movie because Timothy Hutton was very method, very method, and 2 trailers, 1 for each personality, and all this stuff, and it was not. I think Tim Hutton's performance on the movie is fantastic, but. It's, and George was talking with Stuart about it, and I had left the room to go get something and come back, and and George and Stuart are there, and Stuart just says, okay, Mike, what do you think of Timothy Hutton's performance in Dark Half? And so I think it's really good. I mean, I know you had trouble with him and all that, and this is Stuart asking me this, because they had a conversation while I was gone. I was like, yeah. So you like his performance, Mike? Do you? It's like, yeah, I think Timothy Hutton's terrific on that. I think he did as good a job as anybody could have done. He was really great. George, do you want to tell him who the actual first choice was, who actually signed to do the movie, but couldn't do it because of something with the green card or visa problem between England at the time, because he was going through a divorce or something had happened and he couldn't come over to do the movie at that time. So George, do you want to tell him? I'm like, yeah, we had Gary Oldman signed to do it. And I just went, are you telling me early 90s era Gary Oldman was signed to do a dual role in the Dark Half for you? Yes. Fuck.
Timothy who?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, you mean True Romance era, JFK era, fucking Gary. I was just like, oh, where's the nearest bar? I guess, I can't. This is fucking.
And now you can't get it out of your head.
No, now I can't. And it's not fair to Timothy Hutton at all. It's completely unfair to him, because he still gives a terrific performance in the movie. But now I'm just watching going, it could have been Gary. So it's like, I want an interdimensional machine so I can go to the reality where that visa thing worked out, so I can see how Gary Oldman was, not just as Tad Beaumont, which would have been an interesting performance from him at that time, but him as George Stark. Oh, fuck.
That's the interesting one.
Yeah,
See, like the opposite of that, because wasn't Rooker also one of George's first picks for the Thad Beaumont George Stark character?
I think that, well, yeah, he was up for, because he had seen Henry and really liked him, and I thought that,
but they didn't think he could be the good guy or something.
Right?
Like
yeah, there's like, no one's going to believe him as a good guy. It's like, well, wait a few years.
Then they cast him in the movie as the good guy.
The good guy. That's
the sheriff.
The most sensible guy in the whole fucking movie.
Right.
Yeah,
man, Gary Oldman. I don't know if that would have made the movie more financially successful, but that it's that would be
because Gary Oldman wasn't necessarily a box office draw even then, but when you think of, I mean, he's one of my favorite actors. That guy disappears so thoroughly into his performances. I mean, but to imagine him doing that, I can't. So that was one of those things when he said Gary Oldman.
And immediately,
I really wish I didn't know that.
And you're like,
yeah, but that's interesting about Dwayne Jones. I think you're right. I think that's the part he would have played, because
that's the only other like semi-lead role in the film. So
yeah, he's not going to have him in there as a thug or some shit like that, or that's
and Richard is so suave, and
and Dwayne totally could have done that. Dwayne totally could have pulled that off.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That would have been. I think that would have set the movie apart too.
That would have done something. Yeah, that could have possibly done something.
And I love Richard in it. Like Richard, I love Richard.
No, it's not like I regret Richard being in it at all. But again, now it's just like, well,
now you're thinking
what could have been. Would it have been better? Who knows? But it would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, interesting if nothing else.
Yeah. So was that the last question, or was there?
Well, that was the last question for me. Synth wants to know if you've seen Festival of the Living Dead.
I have not.
Okay,
not
don't bother.
Okay,
it's not. There's no reason.
I don't even know what it is. What is it?
It's like a quasi sequel to Night of the Living Dead that the Saska sisters did a few years back.
Oh,
it's not.
No, I haven't seen it. So
okay.
There's a lot of the unofficial Night of the Living Dead related stuff I have not watched.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll do Children of the Living Dead as soon as the rights get cleared up on that. I'll do that in a heartbeat, man. Are you kidding me?
This is a question I actually wanted to ask you about, because ever since, because I saw you joined in on that stream on the jar.
Yeah,
and I became a huge Tor Ramsey fan after that night. Just hearing him shit on Karen Wolf.
I'll tell you, know what? Look, man, Tor seemed a little irritated with me that night, which we have subsequently emailed.
I know, I don't
each other.
get that.
No. It may have been my perception more than anything else, but I emailed with Tor after that. Everything's fine. There's not a problem at all. But Tor was so refreshingly, I don't give a fuck during that whole thing. She fucked the movie, and that guy was an asshole, and she didn't have a fucking clue, and that guy is
become so enamored with this movie ever since then, because I've never given it two thoughts for all these years, but ever since that stream, I'm just like, man, there's definitely a story to be told.
Oh, there's a story. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories. The only question is, there's certain people that I would really want to talk.
Oh yeah,
and if they don't, it would feel like there's going to be some very different camps here on that. So I would love to.
Well, do you know if Karen Wolf is even still around? Or
she is? She's still around.
Okay.
She's still around. We'll see. Well, let's not jinx anything, but let's
So you are working on a Children of the Living Dead 4K.
I am not. I am not. I am absolutely not. That is no lie. I am not working on that right now.
Well, you should.
Maybe in the future, it's a possibility.
Hey,
Nothing would make me happier. That's how.
Paul would buy it.
That's how sick I am too. That I would actually look forward to doing that.
But yeah, man, speaking of Red Shirt Pictures, you got anything coming out? I mean, we know there's some stuff on the horizon, but you want to plug anything? What you working on?
Yeah, I'll do a quick rundown. Next thing coming up is The Hearts of Darkness, the making of The Final Friday, which is about the making of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. It's really about Adam Marcus, filmmaker Adam Marcus, and making his first movie and all the pitfalls and all the rewards that can come with that. It's a really very personal documentary, and it's something that even if you don't like Jason Goes to Hell, you really should watch. I'm very, very proud of it. And Adam has become one of my best friends. I love working with Adam Marcus, and he's someone I hope to keep working with a lot in the future. Adam Marcus is also a very gifted artist. He can do sketches that he can do a sketch in like an hour that makes it I couldn't do if I practiced my whole life to do it. And
I've never been a good artist either.
He did a drawing for me that I loved so much that I hung it and put it right there. That's George.
Oh, that's great.
And so George hangs over behind me. He's watching over me as I sit here. So that's an awesome Adam Marcus sketch of George Romero. It's one of the most perfect sketches of George I've ever seen. And he sent that to me. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. But so the Hearts of Darkness is coming up next. That's going to be a street date on that. Will be announced in the next couple of weeks. Followed closely by Hunter's Blood, a great wilderness survival pick, kind of in the vein of Deliverance and Rituals, with Clu Gulager and Sam Bottoms and Kim Delaney, and Billy Bob Thornton makes his first ever film appearance in that movie. He has one line, but he's
right.
in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forget
he
about
got
that.
a SAG card on that movie, actually.
Did you get him for an interview?
No, I reached out, and I don't think he ever found out about it. I think I got cock blocked by the publicist. Because I think he would absolutely talk about it.
I think so too. I think
I think he would too. But I don't know anyone that knows him personally, which sucked too. So, but in any case, and then Angel of Heat with Marilyn Chambers, which was one of her R-rated forays. It's sort of a James Bond spoof that she did in the early 80s, which is a lot of fun. Followed in some order after that by Prom Night 2 and Fright Night Part 2, which we're working on. And there's a couple, 976 Evil 2, and then somewhere in there should hopefully be the Walking Out After Midnight release, which I'll do a very limited run of. I'm not going to do a whole lot of those. It'll be kind of like After Effects. So if you want it, you're going to have to buy it fast, because I'm not going to do a second run of it.
Well, I'll be waiting.
Okay.
I'll be there.
And then there's other stuff that's in the works that I can't talk about right now, but there's still, but I've got more than enough on my plate. Let's just leave it at that. That's for sure. And then I am working on the Bruiser 4K for Kino. I'll be doing some stuff for that. So, yeah.
Do you know when that's coming out? Do you have any idea when?
I don't know. I don't. That I'm not in charge of, but I'm sure it's going to be out. So I would. You know what? I don't even want to say. It's definitely this year. It'll be this year.
Okay.
But I don't want to say, because I don't want to quote. I don't want to quote something speculatively. Then it becomes fact. And then Kino calls me up and goes, "Why did you say?" I didn't. I swear to God, the internet. But
what about the? Have you done anything for the upcoming Day of the Dead 4K releases that are coming out around? Or
no?
You'd say no.
No.
Okay. So all right.
I already did a feature-length doc on that.
You did. Yeah. I mean, The World's End is pretty much but I've just been curious. I know Scream Factory is doing the 4K, and typically when they do a 4K of something that they've already done on Blu-ray, they don't really add a whole lot of extra features, which
no, I don't, and I don't know what they're adding or anything. They didn't involve me on the project, so.
Okay. All right. I'll take you for your word on that one.
But hey, I just want to see it restored. I just want to see Day of the Dead restored.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That's all I care about. That's all.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, thank you for hanging out with me tonight and talking some George with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's you asked me to do it, and I was like, it seems appropriate to do that with you. So I mean, because I think you might have seen one or two of George's movies, so it seems like
one or two,
a little bit of fandom going on over there. Says the man who owns the exact model of TV seen in Dawn of the Dead.
Hey, and I got the ice skates back here from the Ice Palace in the Monroeville Mall, by the way, too. So come on.
Okay, I'm gonna do like a Thunderdome match between you and Larry and see who comes out alive.
Just don't have us bidding on anything, or Larry's just
that's not a good idea. Unless it's something I'm offering, in which case, bid out, going, guys. Keep bidding up. I'm and I
can only go so far before I get kicked out of the house. So,
well, I'm less concerned with that. I just want money. I'm just that's all I really care about. So,
are you going to be at Living Dead weekend?
That's the plan. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll see you there, my man.
It might be the last one. I mean, it's certainly going to be the last one of its kind to be done there before the mall gets under the wrecking ball. But I'm sure before the mall officially closes in its last couple of days, there'll be some sort of an informal gathering up there. You know, people, say the last week to visit the Monrovia Mall, but I can't imagine them allowing them to do another big convention that close to the mall. Because I think from what I heard, and don't quote me on this, I guess, but all the leases are up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
that's what I've heard.
Everybody's going to have to be out by then. Look, that is such a fun show. There's no other convention like that. I mean, and I have to give so much credit to Kevin Kreese for being able to pull off. To be able to run a horror convention is a fucking nightmare anyway. Every guy I know who's a convention runner has aged 20 years for every 5 years they've been doing that. I mean, it takes a lot out of you. But then to do an active convention inside a active shopping mall, I mean, that's just like piling it on even more. So the fact that show goes off as well as it does every year is really amazing. And I'm sure this one will be the big blowout of all time, because this is it, And
yeah.
It's going to be unfortunate for the generations to come that are going to love Dawn of the Dead just as much as you and I do, who are not going to have the opportunity to walk around that place.
Yeah.
And take it in and realize that this is where this was shot. I'm standing in the place where that happened, and just get the feel. Because even as different as the mall is now, you still know it when you walk in. You still know. You just feel it. And that's going to be something that will be a legend for. I was there when the mall was still around. You were? What was that like? And I'm counting on you, Larry. I'm counting on you being there to gather up as many bricks as possible.
Oh, I've already said Larry will be there with an.
I think if Larry could, I think honestly, if Larry could somehow corral all the dump trucks to bring all the mall remains to another site, and he would rebuild the mall brick for brick somewhere.
Oh yeah,
I think he would do it. And if he did that, I would pay admission for that shit. I would totally.
I will help. I will help.
Yeah,
Larry. You can do that.
Yeah. So I have no fear that there will still be artifacts from the Monroeville Mall available out there for the people who didn't get to walk around. Well, you didn't get to walk around, but here's one of the bricks you would have walked by.
Here's a slab of the marble. You
here's
see it in this shot.
Yeah, here's the slab of the marble from the support beam in this shot, and it's just like he'll have it all cataloged.
Oh yeah.
He'll have it all frame grabbed to. I mean, it'll all be, and we'll all be sitting around going, "My God, man!" I can only imagine what George's reaction to that would have been. Is like, all right, it's like, okay.
Why?
It's like, why are you doing this?
I've always wondered what George's reation would be if he knew that he had a bust sitting in the Monroeville Mall.
I often wonder that too. There's two things about that before we go. If I could go to George now and say, George, by the way, in case you didn't know, there's a bust of you, like the guy at the other end of the mall who built the mall or whatever, the owner or whoever it was. Well, they're building a bust of you in the mall that's going to be there as a memorial to you shooting Dawn of the Dead there. What? He would just, what? Who's going to look at that? Why was? And then I can already tell you on a kind of a flip side, because when the news came out that the mall was going to go away, I couldn't help but wonder, how George would have reacted to that news. And only George can speak for George, but if I were to predict my own prediction of how he would have reacted, if I had walked up to George and said, George, Walmart bought the mall property and they're going to level it, and the mall's going to go away. It's gone. Its days are numbered. I think his reaction would have been, Mike, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I think he would have been kind of sanguine about it. I don't think he would have, because I think he would have been like, I think he would have realized maybe the same thing, maybe the same kind of way I'm thinking about it. I hate seeing it go, but I can't come up with a reason to save that mall that doesn't boil down to, but they shot Dawn of the Dead there. Because the mall is not No one goes. It's not what it was. It's not. That property is huge and could be doing much more for the economy of Monroeville than the mall is. There's no denying that. So I'm not saying a Walmart is better. I'm just saying on a simple economic level, I get it. You know, the malls have kind of had their time, and a lot of them are gone. How many dead mall videos are there out there? You know?
It's a whole genre on YouTube now.
Oh yeah, the two malls that I grew up with, La Mirada Mall in La Mirada, California, Eastland Mall in Charlotte, are gone. They're physically fucking gone. And these were busy malls when I was a kid, but they're gone. They're just, you can't find any evidence of them anymore. So if there was a way, if I was Elon Musk, I would just buy the mall property, have it converted back to how it looked in 1978, and just run around playing Dawn of the Dead all goddamn day in there.
That's all of our dreams, man.
That's all we would do. But it's like, so on the one hand, it's like, if I had the power, I would say, leave it alone. But on the other hand, it's like, I can't get, because again, it was a center for commerce. It was never designed to be a memorial. It was never designed to be, it's a landmark in some ways, but it was never designed to be that. It was a place for Monroeville to benefit from economically, so the citizens had a place to go to get the things they wanted, because that's how we shopped back then. That's not how we do it anymore. It's no longer the only game in town. Things have moved on. Some malls have survived because they've managed to evolve in some ways, or they're in neighborhoods that still support them. They're more high, upscale kind of malls. We have one like that here in Detroit. It just doesn't work out.
Fine.
Yeah,
upscale malls are doing fine.
Yeah, but there's parking spaces at Monroeville that haven't seen a car in them since the mid '90s. You know? I mean, it's just, and
I get it from an economical standpoint, from a dollars and cents standpoint, but at the same time, it's like,
no.
It's like,
don't do it.
If I don't know, man, it's like Monroeville, the name Monroeville has been
so synonymous with that. I mean,
for me, it's like growing up, like when I first met Blasey, like when I met him on AOL chat on AIM, Instant Messenger, his name was Monroe Zombie.
Right.
And that's what he is in here, So it's like, it's always been synonymous. So when I first visited the mall, when I first driving into Pittsburgh for the first time and seeing that sign, Monroeville this way, I teared up. I'm like, I'm here. I'm here.
Like I said, I cried when I got there because magic happened here.
Yeah.
I mean, a bunch of guys made a movie in the freezing cold, and it was a movie, but you made something that altered the course of my fucking life, and it happened right here. And there are so few places that you can go where you can literally walk around a living, breathing movie set.
Yeah.
It's so I hate to see it leave for those reasons, but those reasons don't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Those reasons are not economically feasible. And I can't. So yeah,
but it's like Larry said before, and it's just like, once the mall's gone, I have no reason to ever go back to Monroeville. It's
Me
like
either, really. I mean, that's
gone, like it's over,
Yeah, and
it's weird to think about that, because that's the only place I've ever wanted to go my entire life. Like, I remember being in high school and writing essays about, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I know,
like,
exactly.
Everybody's like, Puerto Rico or wherever, I'm just like,
no, Monroeville,
Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And it's like, okay.
I mean, I was a mall kid growing up. I grew up in the 80s, man. I was a mall kid. I loved malls. Over the past 20 years, the Monroeville Mall is the only mall I've been in, with the exception of like 3 other malls. That's it. And it just goes to show. And I don't go there because I want to go to a mall. I go to the Monroeville Mall because they made Dawn of the Dead there. You know,
right.
That's why I go there. So it's like, even a mall kid, I don't go to malls anymore. So it's like, again, it's that weird push-pull thing of just, I don't want to go.
It's head and heart. It's that head and the heart thing, where it's like, your head is saying, this makes sense, and I get it, but your heart is saying, why does it have to be? It's like, my heart.
I think there was a movement, they were trying to get a petition to get it certified as a landmark so that it couldn't be torn down. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get that. I really do. but then what the fuck are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know,
and it's like our buddy CK has said. It's like, man, Walmart wipes their ass with petitions on a daily basis.
I know, yeah. I mean, it's just it's not something I want to see happen, and I'm going to be as emotional as anybody when it finally happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I guess there's just, and I don't know if I would have felt this way in my 20s or my 30s even, but now I'm just like, yeah, well, everything has their day. Everything, you know, there has to, and I knew from a long time ago that I would see the end of the mall during my lifetime. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be quite this soon.
Yeah. No,
but I'm also not shocked. And it was funny when we heard them all had been purchased, they were like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? And then it was revealed that it was essentially Walmart who bought it. It was like, oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
that was my,
I was
like,
huge piece.
And if you would have told that to George would have said, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, that tracks. That tracks. Yeah. Yeah. And I, you know, so I think George would feel the same way. I'm sure there'd be a tinge of, goddamn, you know, we made such a, you know, that was such a touchstone. Hello, how are you doing? You doing good? Thank you.
Gotta have a cameo there.
Yeah. It was such a touchstone experience for me and all my friends. We were making that movie at the height of our powers, kind of, so to speak, and what the movie became and all that. But then I think there would be that other part of him too. But it's like, what are you going to do, Mike? You know?
Yeah.
It's just the way things work. And so I'm going to enjoy this last big go round with Living Dead Weekend. I hope we're all there
I think there's going to be quite a few people there. It's already, the VIP is already sold out. They've already added 2 more tours for poor Larry to do. So Larry's going to be
Larry's not going to sleep.
Weekend.
Larry's going to be doing Larry at this point, honestly, Larry, just do 24/7 tours.
Yeah.
Don't sleep. Just take a lot of energy drinks and just don't sleep for 3 fucking days. You can sleep the following week. That's just the way that's going to work. Because
you may never wake up again after this.
Well, there would be people working. There would be people there at 3 o'clock in the morning to do a goddamn mall tour. Are you kidding me? Of course there would be.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be the prime time to do it, because that's when they were shooting the film. You know, you're just
absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be there because I'm not fucking nuts. I'm going to sleep. But still, you know, I'm sure some people would. So Larry, just do that. Just do 24/7, 3 days nonstop. And, you know, I'm sure you'll probably survive that. And, you know, it's a 50-50 shot. Take a chance. Why don't you? Will you?
Yeah.
You know,
just get it all in. Get it all in while you can. Well,
get it all when you can.
There, man.
There's going to be a time where we're not going to be able to do that ever again.
Yeah. And I mentioned this on a stream about a month or so ago, or in October when I was there. I had that moment where, you know, Living Dead Weekend and everything's going on, but I just went off by myself and just kind of walked around the mall and just kind of sat and just kind of took it in, and it was just kind of hit me. It was just like, enjoy it while you can, because it's
one of my favorite moments that I can remember like that actually happened long before Living Dead Weekend, when Horror Hound Weekend did a convention there, and they did a screening of the movie inside the mall, which ultimately kind of didn't work out because they couldn't turn the lights off. And so the screening was kind of, but the movie was still playing. And I just walked up and down. The mall was empty at that point. It was only open for the screening. But I was just walking up and down the halls of the mall. And all I could hear was the sound from the movie echoing down the halls of the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something unbelievably awesome about that. Because at the end of the day, I didn't bitch about that. I don't need to see the movie. I've seen the movie 5,000 times. It's not like what happens next? Well, I know, you know, but just to be walking down the mall and hearing the bikes in the movie, echoing in that I'll never forget that. So that was worth it just for that. And I also got to ride the escalators like a passed out zombie. I think Matt Blasey took a picture of me doing that. We both did that. And that was actually a lot more uncomfortable than you might think it is. It was actually, because those teeth dig into your back. It's not pleasant at all. It was not so.
It's a major danger, you know.
It is. It's you got to get off of that thing too. It's not. It isn't. Yeah, because you lie down on that thing, and it's not like on a bed of needles where there's enough to support you. There's like a row cutting into the back of your head, another one cutting into the small of your back. It's like ow, 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 ow. And I'm like, George, why would anyone do this? It's so stupid.
I just think of that the scene from Mallrats, and he's like, and she's on the fucking escalator.
Fucking escalator again. That kid is on the escalator again.
So I'm sure somebody was there thinking about that.
Oh yeah,
they saw you doing that. The fucking guy's on the escalator again.
I wanted, when I visited the mall the first time, I was thinking I'm going to try and slide down the escalator in Penny's, but I couldn't do it because, well, for two reasons. One, they had all these little plastic signs stuck to that middle, like every 2 feet. And I think they did that. And Mike is like, wow, that's interesting that they were doing this. And the second reason I didn't do it is when you get up there, and I'm sure Matt can attest to this because he actually did it right before the fucking mall closed, this son of a bitch. You get up there and you look down, it looks steep as fuck. And I'm a big guy, and I was like, even if those little signs weren't there, I'm going to come flying down that thing. I don't know how to brake. I'm going to fly over housewares and cosmetics and go and then end up as a crumpled ball out in the front of the place. And so I'm sure I would not have done it anyway, but I blame it on the signs for being there. Well, I couldn't do it because of the signs. Darn it. But as it turns out, I know now why those signs were there. I got an answer to that a few years ago. A couple of guys had been in the mall the year before and taken a tour and taken some video and photos and stuff. And they had gone down. They did the escalator during the day and got busted for it. Yeah, it was Sean Clark, who is a good friend of mine. And when I found, it's like, you ruined it for me, because that's absolutely, I was gonna do it, you bet. No doubt about it. You screwed me. Bullshit. I was never gonna do it. But Matt did it, and I'm sure he can attest to the fact the way they shot it in the movie, it looks a lot lighter and a lot easier. But when you're staring down that thing, it's like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, I had Matt on last week, and he actually showed some video of when he did it. And of course, the mall, the JCPenney's was, almost pretty much empty at the time. They were, taking everything apart, and where he's doing it, he's coming off of that thing, and there's like a hole in the floor right next to where he was jumping off of. And I'm just like, dude, you could just fallen through the floor.
Yeah, you can't. That's the thing. Matt just pointed out, you can't break. No. And I don't know how Scotty did it, because I don't think Scotty's really coming down as fast as it appears in the movie. And he just kind of boom, and it comes off. If I had done that, it would have just
you'd have taken out Gornick and everybody there.
I would have taken out them. I would have crashed into the ceiling and just kept. I would still be flying. I would just So it would not have been a good. The guy on the escalator is coming to the show. So all the last zombies that we couldn't find, the one I want to find, I think they may have found him, and I don't know if he's gone or if he's still available or not. The guy I want to find is the Arco Pitcairn guy, the softball player that she's staring at through the window.
Larry knows who that is, and we've talked about that. His name's like Jack Papalardi, I think is his name, or something like that.
I want to get that guy, because that's one of my favorite scenes of any of George's films.
Oh yeah,
I love that scene. I love that scene so fucking much.
You'll appreciate this.
Oh,
this is a sketch.
You make me sick.
This is a sketch that was drawn by my buddy Daniel Lowry.
That's great. I love that moment so much, and I think I'd have to ask Tina, but I think that moment in Queens when he's at the cage with her,
oh yeah,
is a direct reference to that, or at least has some of that DNA in it, because it's a very similar moment.
It is. But, I didn't even think about that.
But I would love if that guy, if he's able to be there, because I don't get autographs a lot, but that guy I would get, because scene is. I love that scene so fucking much.
Yeah, but me too, man. And then that drawing, I pestered
beautiful
Dan for years. He always had it up, and he's like, "How much? Sell me that, because this is the actual drawing. He had some prints there, but this is the actual one." I'm like, "Well, how much for the actual drawing?" He's like, "Man, I can't sell you that one. I just can't. I can't get rid of it."
Apparently he has just had a stroke, but he can't sign an autograph. Really, that's too bad. I'm sorry he's had a stroke. Not the great tragedy is not that he can't sign an autograph. I'm just sorry he's had a stroke. That's too bad.
Yeah, I remember. I think I remember Larry telling me about that. Because I know they were trying to get him for one of the reunions a few years back, and I forgot why he wouldn't make it.
I'm sure. Look, I'm sure Larry knows the date and time and location of every single person that walked by the set of Dawn. So I'm sure if he could have been there by now, he would have been, because he's about as prominent as zombies that's in that movie.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I saw. I don't know if you. I think I'm trying to think what if it was in the Dawn of the Dead group or something like that on Facebook or something like that. But I think his sister or somebody posted some Polaroid pictures that she had taken of him behind the scenes of Dawn of the Dead, where he's got the outfit on. He's got.
If anybody out there has a link, I'd love to see that. That's great.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you. But yeah.
Now the question is, does he still have the shirt?
It's a good question. It's a good question, Larry. You'll have to.
Yeah.
have to reach out and find that out. But yeah, I think that's. I remember seeing this was probably 5 years ago or something like that. She just showed up and was like, "Hey, I have these Polaroids I took of my brother while he was."
Obviously, I mean, if his health situation is what it is, I can understand him being sensitive about that. I certainly wouldn't want him to feel uncomfortable or anything. But I wish there was a way you could convince, because I've known several celebrities who had impairments or issues or health issues, and they were nervous about coming out to a convention, or because they'd never done one before, one reason or another. And I can't tell you, the ones that did ended up being so glad they did, because they just the level of warmth and attention that they would get. It's not like anyone would be judging them or care about the fact that they're, no one would be sitting there like, oh, why would you have him here because he had a stroke? No, that wouldn't be a factor at all. Like but it's hard to convince people of that. And it's you're being in public and you've had a stroke or something like that. I can understand being sensitive about that. I would never want to be like, no, you'll be fine. I get that. But if there was any way to let this guy know that there's people like me and you that would just love to say, you were in a scene that I will never forget for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've thought like if he ever would come to a show or do anything like that, like maybe I would probably gift him that drawing just to, I think he would love something like that, but I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is that he's the one zombie. He's the one person from that movie that I've never gotten to meet that I would love to just, if, signature or no signature, I don't really care about that. I would just love to say, dude, I know you were just sitting there staring into a window, but you were part of one of the best moments of one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about most. And I say this all the time. Like when you talk about like, she was a zombie in the background for 2 seconds or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, but she was a zombie in Dawn of the Dead for 2 seconds. Yeah. Like that's an important, any piece of art is a giant puzzle. And every little
Dawn of the Dead there's something about that movie. It doesn't matter how long you're on screen or what, it doesn't matter. You were there. You were there,
Yeah. You were there.
That's the thing. I mean, I've often wondered if I had a time machine, where would I go? It's like, well, I can tell you right now, I would travel back at least partial the way to late 1977 and just drop by the Monroeville Mall at about 2:00 in the morning and see what the hell's going on over there.
Yeah. You wouldn't go back and kill Hitler?
Nah, I'll save that for later. I got, things to do, but I wish that they could, and look, at the end of the day, you want to respect the family and his wishes. If he's truly uncomfortable doing something like that, I wouldn't want him there either. I wouldn't, but if there was any way to really let them know, you have no idea the outpouring of love and affection and appreciation that you would get from people who would just be happy to see you.
Yeah.
And to tell you, like I'm saying now, you had no dialogue and you barely moved and you made an impression that I will never forget.
Yeah.
And just to say, thanks, man. Thanks for being there and doing that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell,
also, where's the shirt?
Do you still have the shirt?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
My fantasy football team for quite a few years was always called Box Arco Pitcairn. So it's like I'm so ingrained in this shit already. It's like, you know, and of course I got the sticker down there that Norman England sent me, and I'm just like, you know, it's like it's.
And I'm sure Larry knows where Box Arco was.
I'm sure he does, actually. Yeah. I think I've seen pictures.
And the sad fact is, if I knew where it was, I'd probably drive out there just to see. Even though the fucking gas station wasn't in the movie. But, you know. Yeah, but ask him one more time and shit. I'll write a letter to him saying everything I've said here, saying, dude, you want to come to a place where you'll get nothing but good vibes from everybody, and there's no way you'd leave there feeling any worse than you do. You'd feel loved and I mean, wow, I would, hell, I'll drive him around all weekend. I'll you know,
so
seriously.
You'll be his handler. There you go.
Yeah, I would totally fucking do that. Are you kidding me? I mean, look, he's, you know, his physical reality is his physical reality. We deal with it. We move on, you know, there's no shame in that at all. People have horrible shit happen to them, and it's just, you deal with it, and you adjust to it, and you make them as happy and comfortable with the situation as you possibly can. Of course you've been to the former side of Box Arco, Larry. You didn't have to tell me that. I didn't need you to tell me. I just assumed you did. You're telling me that like it's news. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, uh-huh.
He's probably gotten. I think it's probably still a gas machine. Yeah, Larry's been everywhere. Hell, Larry found all the shooting locations for Night Riders that were in eastern Pennsylvania, and was like, "Oh, this is where they shot." I'm just like, "Why the fuck were they out there?"
I love the fact that Larry scouted out and went to the location of a gas station that doesn't appear in the movie at all. Except mention on the name on the back of a shirt of a non-speaking character in one shot, basically. You know, it's just like
Larry's been there.
Of course he's been. Yeah, it's just like, why wouldn't he have been? Again, I didn't need you to confirm that, Larry. I just assumed it, and I was right. So, you know. There you go.
But see, like that's why I love doing this channel. That's why I love going to Living Dead Weekend. It's like I've said a billion times. It's like you're around people that speak your language and are as into this shit as you are. Because if you tell somebody at work that, they'll look at you like you got three heads. They're
gonna be like, police. You know, like, we got some nice gentlemen they're gonna have some white jackets for you to wear, and we're gonna take you to a nice little white room, and
we're gonna go on a little ride.
You can bounce around in there all you want. You know, that's
Oh, it's interesting enough when I tell people at work, like, oh yeah, I'm taking some days off in June. Okay, especially the first year I started working there, they're like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm going to Pittsburgh. Oh, are you going to a Steelers game? Are you going to this? Are you going to that? I'm going to a mall. You're going to a mall. Are they having a big sale or something? What are you talking about?
Sort of. Yes. Yeah.
And so now I've been at the job long enough to where they know, like, okay, June's rolling around. Mike's going to Pittsburgh to go to a mall, and they don't ask questions. They're just like, okay, you just do you.
I have that too when I tell people who are not into this or have no concept of it. Why are you going to the mall? It's where they shot Dawn of the Dead. Oh, it's like, well.
Are they shooting now?
No. They shot it there like 40, 45 years ago. Oh. Okay, have a good time. And they just kind of look at me like,
yeah,
odd fellow.
Like, yeah, nobody gets it. But here, like people in the chat, fucking
here again,
weekend, it's like people are like, oh, it sounds like the coolest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, yes, thank you.
Like, of course, Larry went to the site of the gas station mentioned on the back of a shirt in the movie. And I love the fact that I was upset. And I just love the fact that Larry says that, and I got upset because, like, well, of course, Larry. Why are you telling me that? I knew that. I didn't know that, but I knew that. You know, come on.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Obvious.
But do try again. And if there's anything I can do to help, you know, support materials or anything, or testimonials or anything, I would definitely, because I would, and this is it. You know, it's the last time that, you know, we'll be able to have this kind of gathering. So if he was ever gonna do it, this is the one to do it for. But I mean, I want to be respectful, of course, of his situation and his wishes, and I would never want to pressure someone to do something they weren't comfortable with. But if there was a way, if one more pitch, man. I see one more pitch, softball pitch. Get it?
There you go.
This is the pitch. That's the shit.
There we go. That's how you wrap this sucker up.
Yeah. Otherwise, that's the thing. You really need to, with me, you're going to learn this if you ever have me on again. You got to just shut me off at some point, or otherwise I'll just keep going.
No, I'm trying to get off here for your sake. Like, we're 3 hours into this. I had Norman England on a couple of weeks ago, and we went 4.5 hours. So it's
4.5 hours.
I swear to God. I was just like, no, keep going.
I'm not talking that fucking long. Are you kidding me? No way. I could very easily, because we only really scratched the surface on George stuff, really.
Oh yeah, I still have a ton of questions here. So anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, we'll save it for another time. Actually, maybe we'll do another one around the time that Living Dead Weekend happens or something. We could do a show. Good. We could do a recording at the show. If
that
you're going to be
good.
there.
I floated that out. I was like, let's do if I can figure it out. Logistically, if I can do like a live stream from the show, which the mall has horrible. The mall has terrible signal.
The worst Wi-Fi in the world is there.
So we'd have to do it at somewhere
hotel or something.
But
but I'd be down for that. That'd be fun.
Hell yeah! All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. And then Larry can visit that hotel years later. This is where the recording of Alpha Romero happened. Which was not in Dawn of the Dead at all, but they mentioned Dawn of the Dead.
They talked about Dawn of the Dead for 3 hours in this hotel.
Yeah, so that's enough. That's enough.
Larry, glad to have you in the chat tonight. Blasey, it's good seeing you, man.
Yes, good to see everybody. Thanks for hanging around.
Yeah, man, this has been fun. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and look forward to our live Q&A or whatever the hell we're gonna do at Living Dead Weekend. That'd be fun.
Yes, indeed.
But Mike, thanks again for doing this, man. This has been a lot of fun. And I've said this many times on this channel. You can go back to when I first started talking about your work and always being a fan of yours. It's like there's a handful of people that I could sit and listen to talk about George Romero for hours on end. Your name's right at the top of that list. So
I very much appreciate that. And this was a lot of fun for me. And at the end of the day, it's all about paying tribute to a man who was very, very special for a lot of reasons. And anything I can do to help carry forward the legend. And
absolutely,
that's my unofficial part-time job. So,
I spend most of my life doing that. It's like, all right, it's another time for another live stream. What am I going to talk? And it's funny because with George, it's so weird. It's like there'll be weeks where I'll like, I got a live stream to do this weekend, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. Like, and then I'll get on and I'll start, and then 3.5 hours later, I'm just like, okay, well, all right, I guess I got to start wrapping this up.
I guess we talked about something, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do that a lot too. It's just like I'll do Facebook live podcasts, and like 2 hours later, I'll stop and like, the hell did I just talk about? I don't remember anything I said.
Exactly.
I don't know. Whatever, I guess,
It's my time to get it out because nobody else wants to talk about George Romero with me. It's like I can't go up to somebody at work and be like, hey, so what did you think of Night Riders? They're just like, what? The fucking talking car? What are you talking about?
Who are you? What's your name again? Yeah. Get away from me. Have you ever been to Box Arco? Have you ever been there?
Do you know where
that was?
I actually had when in my fantasy football league, when I put that as my name, people were like, what the hell is that? They're like, just like, it's a gas station in Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Did you have a memorable experience there? No, I've never been there. Oh, no, it's part of a movie. It was part. Oh, they filmed a movie there? No. Oh, okay. Well, what does it have to do with the movie? It's on the back of a shirt. Oh, like the lead character wears the shirt for the. No. Well, what is the significance? Oh, it's on the back of a zombie in a scene. Oh, is it like one of the lead zombies? No. He's just so he's a softball player zombie. So he's like, there's a softball scene or something in the movie. No, it's just the shirt he's wearing. Okay, well, what does the zombie do? Oh, he just sits there. Okay, well, what does he say? Nothing. No, he doesn't. He doesn't do anything at all. He's just sitting there looking through a glass door at a woman. Oh, and what does a woman do? Nothing. She just looks back at him. I'm going to end this conversation.
And that's about the time when the paddy wagon rolls up and they pull out the straitjacket.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's just like, okay, we're going to go with these nice men. And
Mike's out there. All right.
He's fine. He's good. He's good. He's
but
going to get some help.
The people that I grew up with are used to it. I've always been the zombie guy, the Dawn of the Dead
me
guy,
too. All the kids, everybody I went to high school with, they were just like, that's what he does. It's
like that distant family member that every now and then comes out of the
that's
bedroom.
Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave is over. Yeah, we don't talk to Uncle Dave, but he's okay. He's harmless, but He talks about weird shit we don't understand, but he's harmless. He's fine.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Matt, good to see you, my man. Larry, as always. Robert, good to see you, my man. Jeff, always a pleasure having you in here, my man. Sorry, it's tough to get to a lot of you guys' comments when I got guests on, but we've been paying attention. We've been looking. So I hope I got to at least all of the questions. So. Yeah, really.
Thanks everybody. It's been
having
fun.
Felsher on the show, put in a catheter. That's
yeah,
right.
No shit. I'll talk till the fucking sun comes up. That's who I am. And then you'll be like, why did we have this asshole on here? He won't shut up. And I get it. I totally get it. So
yeah. That's what we do. That's why this channel exists, so we can sit and bullshit about George Romero for hours on end, and people don't get sick of it. I don't know. I'm waiting for somebody to be like, "Well, you shut the fuck up already." About
no, we've been on the air for 3 hours and 20 minutes, and I would say we've scratched the surface about 11% of the George stories I have. So that's
Like I said, I got way more questions here that I wanted to get to, but I was like, save
them for June. We'll do them in June.
Sounds good, my man. I'll see you then. But thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. I'll catch you guys next week. I think next week I got it's Valentine's Day, so I'll probably do some weird Valentine's Day related Romero stream, or I'll talk about the relationship between Fran and Flyboy or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But until then, you guys, I will see you guys then. But until then, as always, stay safe, stay prepared, but always stay scared.